Yo, yo, shalom, shalom. What's going on, fam? It's your boy, man. Back with another video. Oh, man, like always, you want to give all thanks and praise to the Most High, to our divine creator, Hawa, for the opportunity to come and build, reason, commune with the fam, with the tribe once again. You know how it go. Hope everybody out there, man, doing good. Having a blessed day. Hope everything going good. So, wanted to come to y'all today with this video, man. And as usual, it's gonna piggyback off the last video because, we building a foundation, so we just building, you feel what I'm saying? So I just want to come to y'all with this video, man. Listen, I need your undivided attention, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be pretty heavy, you know what I'm saying? It got a lot. I hope it don't be too long, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I need y'all to catch this drop right here, man. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. It's been a lot of, a lot of confusion going on, a lot of misunderstanding, you know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with the American biblical drop, a lot of people just cannot grasp it, you know what I'm saying? As well as, a lot of other things, man. But I'm gonna tell you, dog. If you come across somebody who cannot seem to understand the biblical events and the miracles, send them to me. Straight like that, man. Send them to me, man, cause we ain't got time, for the la-di-da-di. For the games that's gonna keep us in contrary to the covenant, subjected to the curses, and we finna show, man, all these other religions, everything else, man, is dealing with, paganism, Babylonian paganism, dealing with these Masons, these Masons, and these fallen ones. So, for whoever, man, the Commission community, whatever, send them this way, because we gotta get, we gotta get this foundation laid, That's what we here to do. We here to lay this foundation, man. So, I just want to say that, but we got to get into this drop, and we finna see how slimy Satan is, how he a little scavenger, That's why you got to be careful, got to pay attention to what you're doing, and what you indoctrinating yourself into, dog, because Satan transformeth himself into an angel of light. So we really got to be swift. We got to have understanding. We got to follow the precepts of the true righteous priesthood. We got to understand these sacred trees, right? Understand that cedar and what it means to be incorruptible, right? So we can decipher between righteousness and wickedness. So, just wanted to say a couple of things, but let's go ahead and get into this drop, man. Sit back. Get your notepad, your pen, whatnot, man. Kick back, cause it's finna go down, So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get in it. Alright, so, for those of y'all who caught my last drop, remember we was talking about the wicked priests, prophesied and being ministers unto Baal, right? And which set up the mental supremacy and the spiritual supremacy, for Baal and his children, to come over here and set themselves up over us, right? So, now, with all that being said, couple of days ago, I was chilling and I was thinking about the drop, that I had on, that the last video I made, and I was just thinking about it, dog. And then I remember Israel Redemption, like, 3 years ago, dropping this video right here, saying, kind of saying something about Baal and the white, and the Europeans, and, and the white false god and stuff like that. So I was like, dang, boy. I said, let me go check the video out, So I went back and I caught it, and man, listen, and it was just so in accordance with what, I hadn't just dropped. And like I say, man, I caught this when she had her first drop. That was like 3 years ago. But man, so I'm gonna just play a few little snippets out this just to create a little platform and you know what I'm saying, just to give you some understanding, further understanding on the subject. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into that and let Israel Redemption you know what I'm saying, take the stage. Shout out to you, sister. So let go.
Shalom, everybody. In this video, I wanted to share some information with you guys that you might not be aware of. And I just want to make you aware of it because I know that it's very important. It's one thing for you to hear from our people when they explain to you from the scriptures that we are not supposed to mix. We're not supposed to marry white people, mix with them, or anything like that. But it's a different thing when we look in the scriptures in our own language and we're able to see that information, to see what our forefathers were involved with and why they got themselves in so much trouble. You know, we read in the scriptures a lot about Baal. Now, the white people will tell you in their religions that Baal was a deity, a Phoenician deity. But there again, that's them lying by omission, because Baal was not a Phoenician deity. Baal was followed by the Phoenicians. And our people started following the lead of Baal as well. But the key is knowing what that word means. When we deal with our language, and this is something I have learned myself, when we're dealing with our language, we can't deal with it the same way we're taught to learn and work with or talk with the English language. Okay, the English language is a Germanic language from the Germans, the sons of Gomer, you know, the Gomerites in the scriptures. But we are not Gomerites. We're not Gentiles. We are not Europeans. We descend from a people whose language is very different. We are Shemitic people. When we approach our language, we have to deal with each word we come across as a tree. And for every living tree, obviously there is a root. And our language is exactly the same way, is root dependent. And you've heard a lot of people say that the Shemitic dialects are consonantal, right? So there are no vowels. Vowel pointings are added later. Of course, our people, when they spoke, they used vowel sounds, but not vowel symbols like they do in English. Strangers, or non-Shemites, people who basically impose themselves into our people, into our customs and culture, who were determined to pretend to be us, had to add those vowel pointings for themselves to help them remember. But the natives, our people, didn't have to do that. So what I want to do is I want to basically share with you from our language what the tree called Baal or Baal is really about. Because a lot of people make the mistake of referring to Satan, right? The fallen angel, they refer to him as Satan, as if that's his name. But in our language, the word Satan is not a name. It's not a proper noun. It's used to describe someone's actions, which makes them a Satan or the Satan. The same way they misuse the word Yah, because they're treating the word the way they've been taught to treat words in the English language. And in the video that I'm going to post as a reply to YouTuber Kimberly, who sent me the questions, I'll explain that about the word Yah, as well as the word Yahweh. Which is why when you reading in the scriptures in our language and you come across the expression Yah Baal, and you realize that the word Yah is exactly like the word Satan, doesn't mean the same thing, but it's used the same way for this, especially if you're white. Baal is the white man. If you're white. Baal is the white man.
Alright, so you heard the sis, you know what I'm saying? You heard straight up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, with that being said, now she finna take you and show you in the language. You know what I'm saying? But I'm finna get one other clip, you know what I'm saying? That's because, you know, when I made that video, you know, I was showing how the image of Baal, you know what I'm saying, was instilled in the people's spirituality through the wicked priesthood. So it was almost like, you know what I'm saying, but people still might not understand or really, you know, accept the fact that our people was worshiping white people, you know what I'm saying, or something similar, you know what I'm saying, something in that ball part right there, you know what I'm saying. But even though you can still see it today, even though it's evident in your face that our people clearly still worshiping white people, you know what I'm saying. You got your folk down in the island bleaching their skin, even people up here trying to get lighter, they trying to wear hair to look like European. I mean, you already know how it go, you know what I'm saying. But the sis gonna break it down for you even better. You see right here, she's showing you a view of Baalbek, Lebanon. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's ride.
Or Baal. Now, I'm sure some of you might not want to believe or accept that our people were following white people, and that's who Baal, the sons of Belial, that's who Baal is. But I'm going to show you in the book of Hosea. He was one of our prophets. Hosea chapter 9, verse 10. Not only tells us who Baal is, he tells us how Baal looks. Yeah, Baal is white. White people, they are Baal, the sons of Belial. If you have not read the War Scrolls, it's one of those documents they found in the Qumran cave. They removed a lot of information in there, and they claim that the information is just missing. But no, it's not missing. They took it out before they gave whatever was left to the world to see. Exactly as they did with our scriptures. They did the War Scrolls the exact same way, but there's enough information in there that tells you about the sons of Belial. These are the descendants of the angels. They are white. Let's go to Hosea chapter 9, verse 10, and let's find out exactly who our people were following. Now keep in mind, I've already said that white people, they deliberately mistranslated our letters, our scriptures. And when they kindly gave them back to us, the ones they decided we could get back, they translated them in such a way that you can, so you would never find out the truth. This is one of the reasons why they prevented you from speaking your own language when you came here, or even keeping your own name. Hosea 9 and 10 reads this way. Now your translation might read a little different, but from all of the ones I've read so far, they pretty much say the same thing. Now this is our prophet, our forefather, making an announcement. And this is what the Most High told him to do. He's speaking about our people. Hosea chapter 9, verse 10. I'm going to start in verse 9 as well. They have gone deeply into depravity, as in the days of Gibeah. The Most High will remember their iniquity. He will punish their sins. I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your forefathers as the earliest fruit on the fig tree in its first season. But they went to Baal Peor and devoted themselves to shame, and they became as detestable as that which they loved. Now, the identity of Baal is right in front of you. It's in verse 10. Sure, it says they went to Baal of Peor and devoted themselves to shame. But the name Baal Peor is not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the word shame, because in our language, shame means white. Let me show you. The word that the wicked scribes decided to use in the verse at Hosea for shame is boshit, which means shame and an idol. However, remember, you have to treat our words like trees, and you have to find the root to get the true meaning, the deeper meaning. Boshit comes from bush. Do you know what bush means? It means to be pale. It also means to be disappointed or disappointing, but it means to be pale. And the other meaning for shame in our language is to blanch or to be white. So the correct translation of that verse is this. Hosea chapter 9 verse 10. I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your forefathers as the earliest fruit on the fig tree in its first season. But they went to Baal of Peor and devoted themselves to white people.
Hey, okay. You heard him. You know what I'm saying? You can't make this stuff up, but the Bible is real. You know what I'm saying? The Bible is real. You know what I'm saying? So now it's interesting now. I'm saying we got some new drop because now we're looking at Baal Beck of Lebanon. You know what I'm saying? And we all know Lebanon means what? White, right? Whiteness. You know what I'm saying? So let's check out this Baal Beck real quick. So Baal Beck properly, Baal Beck, and also known as Baal Beck or Baal Beck or Baal Beck, is a town in the anti-Lebanon foothills of the Litani River in Lebanon's Bequa Valley. All right, north of Damascus. Okay, so check this out now. So now we got a city named Baal Beck in Lebanon, right? North of Damascus. Okay. Which is going to be very important. We're going to come back to that. You know what I'm saying? But let's go down here to the name though. It says a few miles from the swamp which the Litani classical Leontes and the Asi flow. Baalbek may be the same as Mabek Harum, source of the two rivers. Okay, source of the two rivers. Anyways, the abode of El and Ugaritic Baal cycle, discovered in the 1920s as a separate serpent. Oh, dang, I didn't even see that at first. Serpent incantation. Check that out. Okay, dang, I didn't even see that at first. But anyway, so check this out. It's a Heliopolis. It's the Latinization of the Greek Heliopolis, meaning sun city. In reference to the solar coat there. It is earlier attested of the two names appearing under the Seleucids and the Ptolemies. Okay, so now check that out now. Now you have a sun city, Heliopolis, right? This solar coat. Now remember in the video we were talking about Baal Peor, right? Now remember we've been digging on Baal Peor. Now take everything you know about Baal Peor, how that is also Shemesh. You know what I'm saying? All the drop I've been dropping, you know what I'm saying? The Egyptian city and the Grand Canyon, Moses, Exodus, four corner petroglyphs, all that's gonna come into play, you know what I'm saying, with this video. So keep all that in mind, you know what I'm saying, with these gods, what these people are doing in the wilderness, what they are worshiping, you know, regardless of the particular bloodline lineage. Understand, man, you know what I'm saying, it's all the same concept. So let's keep going, you know what I'm saying. It's a Ammianus Marcellinus, however, does note that earlier Assyrian names of the Levantine towns continue to be used alongside official Greek ones imposed by the successors of Alexander. Okay, in Greek religion, Helios was both the sun in the sky and its personification as a god. Okay. They say the local Semitic god Baal Hadu was more often equated with Zeus or Jupiter or simply the great god of Heliopolis. Check that out. Okay, now we know Heliopolis is what? It's the sun city. Alright, Zeus and Jupiter, or simply called great gods of the sun city. Alright, let's keep going. But the name may refer to the Egyptians' association of Baal or Ra, you know what I'm saying, with their, right, okay, with their great god Ra. Alright, you see that, right? It was sometimes described as Heliopolis in Syria, Coalesce Syria, to distinguish it from its namesake in Egypt. In Catholicism, its tutelar see is distinguished as Heliopolis in Phoenicia. Alright. Okay, so from its former Roman province, Phoenice. Now check this out. Now this is where it's gonna get real. The importance of the solar coat is also attested in the name of Bika al-Aziz. Okay, now look at that name right there. Bika al-Aziz, born by the plateau surrounding Baalbek, as it references an earlier solar deity and not later men, named Aziz. Okay, now check this out. I'm gonna finish reading this right here, but we're gonna come back. In Greek and Roman antiquity, it was known as Heliopolis. It still possesses some of the best preserved Roman ruins in Lebanon, including one of the large temples of the empire. Okay, the gods that were worshipped there, Jupiter, Venus, and Bacchus, were equivalents of Canaanite deities. Hadad, Atar, goddess. Local influences are seen in planning and layouts of temples, as they vary from the classical Roman design. Alright, so check this out, man. You know what I'm saying? We was up here, we seen that it said that the importance of the solar coat is also attested in the name Bika al-Aziz, born by the plateau surrounding Baalbek, right? This place in Lebanon, this sun city, this Heliopolis in Lebanon, right? But it says as it is in reference to the solar deity, and not later man, not later men named Aziz. So let's check out this Aziz. So Aziz was a northwest Semitic, Phoenician, Aramaic, Hebrew, Arabic. God dang, you see what I'm saying? Word, but is now much more commonly, but not exclusively, known as a Central Semitic Arabic male name. Okay, the feminine form of both the adjective and the given name is Aziza. Alright, now, so check this out. Aziz in Arabic is derived from the root, whatever that is, you know what I'm saying, with the meaning of strong, powerful, and the adjective has acquired the meaning of dear, darling, precious. It is a cognative of the Hebrew Az, meaning might, strength, power. The Semitic word refers to power and glory of deities and kings. Al-Aziz is one of the names of God in Islam. Check it out now. And the word is also used as a royal title borne by the high nobles of Egypt. Okay, right? So it's the name of the gods of Islam. You know what I'm saying? And it was born by the high nobles of Egypt. Being a title born by the prophet Joseph in the Quranic Surah-e-Yusuf, and also by the biblical Potiphar in the Bible. Aziz is referred to Potiphar in the Bible. Now we got to analyze that, dog, because that's some drop. You know what I'm saying? Because they just told us that right here that the importance of the solar coat is attested to the name Bik al-Aziz. So now they tell us that this name is also a name given to high nobles of Egypt and one of the names of God in Islam. But it was also the name of biblical Potiphar. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's check out Potiphar real quick. Potiphar is a person known only from the book of Genesis account of Joseph. Potiphar is said to be the captain of the palace guard and is referred in the Quran as Aziz. Right? You know what I'm saying? So, I hope this stuff is ringing the bell, but it should in a second. Joseph, sold into slavery by his brother, is taken to Egypt, where he is sold to Potiphar as a household slave. Potiphar makes Joseph the head of the household, but Potiphar's wife, who is not named in the Bible or in Christian tradition, is furious that Joseph resisting her attempts to seduce him and falsely accuses him of rape. Potiphar casts Joseph into prison, for where he later comes to notice, from where he later comes to the notice of Pharaoh through his ability to interpret the dreams of the prisoners. After Joseph's interpretation of Pharaoh's dreams and his subsequent appointment as overlord of Egypt, Joseph renamed Zaphnath-Paaneah, right? Married Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, right? Priest of On. Potiphar may have been the same person as Potiphar, in which case Joseph would likely have been married to the daughter of woman responsible for his false imprisonment. Okay, so just to get it out to King James, say in Genesis 41, chapter 45, and Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paaneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out and ruled over all the land of Egypt. Okay, so bam, now check that out now. So remember, right, we was digging on Joseph City in the Grand Canyon, right? Now, Joseph ruled from On, right? On is Heliopolis. On, the biblical city of On, is the sun city. You see what I'm saying? Joseph was ruling there. He received his wife from that priest, the priest of On, right? Now the priest of On, Potiphar, was the priest of the sun god, which is why he bears the name of the sun god, right? In the solar coat. Now what's funny is we was digging on this and we was looking at it, all right, in the Exodus, right? When Moses, children of Israel, come into Moab, and then they join themselves into Baal, Peor, and Shittim, right? So we were looking on that as with the Moab eye. Now we get in the same city in Lebanon, right? You know what I'm saying? We get in the same sun city, Heliopolis, in Lebanon. But what's crazy is let's go check it out. Okay, so we go to Numbers 25. We see that Israel abode in Shittim, right? And the people begin to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. Okay, so we see Shittim, you know what I'm saying, is in Moab. Okay, it say, and Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, right? And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their God, and the people did eat. I wonder what they were sacrificing. But anyway, and bowed down to their gods, right? So Israel joined himself at Baal Peor, and the Lord was angry. So we see that the Shittim, right, is in Moab. Okay, so we would go to Exodus. Let's see, we go to Exodus 25. In the Ark of the Covenant, right? So we know they build the Ark of the Covenant with Shittim wood, right? Because they are in the same region, you know what I'm saying? Because they're coming down from Egypt, you know what I'm saying, walking among Shittim, going into Moab, you know what I'm saying? And then from outside now. So Shittim wood, right? They use Shittim wood to build the ark. Now they say Shittim is the acacia wood, but as we've been digging, we know one thing, right? Is when we go to the Britain Septuagint, it say they shall make the ark of the testimony of incorruptible wood. You know what I'm saying? Now we been digging on them cedars, right? And we know what? We know that the cedar. Let's get it. And we, 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 33, and he spake of trees from the cedar tree, right, that is in Lebanon. Okay, so we know the cedar tree is in Lebanon, right? We come over here to the commentary, the cedar tree, right? The word Ares, right? Ars, right? Arzareth, right? Ars, right? Look what they say. It say the wood is of brown color, very solid, and incorruptible. You see what I'm saying? So when we go back over here to Numbers, right? Let's see. Bear with me, you guys. So when we go back over here and we see that Israel abode in Shittim, we know they dwelling amongst incorruptible wood, which is the cedar trees. You feel what I'm saying? Because even if you go back to you know what I'm saying, verse 24, where Balaam is looking at him and he's seeing the tents, he say, how goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacles, O Israel, as the valleys are spread forth as garden by the river side, as trees of line aloes which the Lord hath planted, and as cedar trees beside the waters. So he looking at them like they cedar trees beside the waters while they dwelling amongst cedar trees. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, so if we know that, if we see that the children of Israel were dwelling in Shittim, we know that they dwelling in the land of the incorruptible wood, right? Which is the cedar, right? So they dwelling in the land of cedar. Now, like I showed you before, scholars tell you what, the only land suitable to be called a cedar land is Lebanon. Okay, so understand, now we got, okay, we was looking at them dwelling in Shittim, right? Hold on. Okay, so we were looking at them, you know what I'm saying, dwelling in Shittim, which is by Moab, and they joined themselves to Baal Peor. But we also see the same city in Lebanon. And we know Shittim is what? It's apparently Lebanon. It's cedar land. It's the land of the incorruptible wood. So we see, you know what I'm saying, the Sun City, which is the city of On, which is Joseph's city that we found being ruled in the same area. It's literally still here. You feel what I'm saying? It's literally still here, right? Heliopolis, the city of On, right? Called El Aziz, which is the name of Potiphar, the priest of On. Heliopolis, the Sun City, right? So when we look at this this southwestern part of the United States, you see what I'm saying? Well, we have the four corners and everything like that. We know we have Moab, you know what I'm saying, in Utah and things like that. And you have the cedar cities, cedar valleys, all the, you know what I'm saying, all the cedar trees, all the places named after the cedar tree and the juniper wood in this area. But this same area is what? It's also what the Aztecs called Aztlan, right? And what do we also know about Aztlan? Alright, so let's get it. Shouts out to the tribe for this right here. It said the Aztecs, which means people of whiteness, right? Aztec or people of Aztlan. Aztlan meaning whiteness. Alright. So we see, you know what I'm saying, the Aztecs call this same area what? Whiteness, right? And we know what? That Lebanon, the place of the cedar trees, is also called whiteness. Okay, now, so let's just analyze something real quick, you know what I'm saying? Because the Aztecs say that they are the people of Aztlan, right? They call themselves Aztecs, meaning people of Aztlan, which they call whiteness. Aztlan means whiteness. So they basically saying that they're the people of Lebanon because we know what? We know this is a place where we go and get established as a tribe, where we go to remember to be tribally incorrupt. You know what I'm saying? Wherever these cedar trees are, it was a place of purification, separation, and healing. And each time we were in that area, we established ourselves as a tribe and then came into our holy allotments, our, you know, individual land inheritance where we would reign and rule at. You see what I'm saying? So that was like their homeland. That was that place, you know what I'm saying? That they would go to, and they called it literally Lebanon, because if these are the children of Israel and they saying that Aztlan means whiteness, they're saying that Aztlan is Lebanon. You see what I'm saying? So now, with that being said, now we can see the practice of Baal Peor and Shemesh in Moab and Shittim, which is the cedar trees, but it's also Lebanon. But we can see that's not far off because we got the same practice, the same Sun City Heliopolis in Lebanon being called Baal Bet. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, like we was building and we would see Moses, right? Now, when Moses came down from the from Mount Sinai, we know that he only got to Moab, you know what I'm saying? But when he came down from Mount Sinai, we know that we see him, he had the tablets, and he's also depicted with horns. Remember, we was building on the horns, right? You know what I'm saying? He got the 2 tablets. Now pay attention to the way the tablets look. You feel what I'm saying? The way they shape, the way they're built. You see what I'm saying? So he got the horns. He's depicted with the horns when he came down from Mount Sinai. Because what? The children of Israel was worshiping Hathor. Hathor is what? Het Heru. She is Ashtaroth. She is Ishtar. She is the queen of heaven. You know what I'm saying? The calf goddess, the Milky Way. You feel what I'm saying? So they were worshiping that coat. You feel what I'm saying? At the bottom of Mount Sinai. So that's why Moses, you know what I'm saying? Moses came down with the horns because they was worshiping the horn gods and the horn goddesses. So when they seen Moses with them horns, they knew something was wrong. And they knew they were doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying? But it's more into it. But I just say that because when you look at the petroglyphs that are in this area, like, you know what I'm saying, the 4 corner area, as we showed, you got this. Now check this out. You got the horned man with the staff, and then you got what looks like a broken tablet. You know what I'm saying? A broken commandment. Because like I say, you always see the commandments, you know what I'm saying, portrayed like that. And we know that when he came down with the horns and he seen the children of Israel sinning, he broke the tablets. You know what I'm saying? So then you got this petroglyph right here that's in New Mexico, along with, right, the Los Lunas stone. The Los Lunas Decalogue stone is said to be originally discovered in 1800s, but not officially until it was shown to Frank C. Hibben, an archaeologist and anthropologist of New Mexico. You feel what I'm saying? They found this right here in New Mexico. Hold on. Right? I am Hawa, Elohim, your God, your power, who brought you from the land of Egypt, from the house of slaves, right? From the house of bondage. You know what I'm saying? The 10 commandments or the 9 commandments. You know what I'm saying? However it go, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, the Los Lunas stone also found in New Mexico. So you got the 10 commandments, right? Found on a stone where, you know what I'm saying, you also got a hieroglyph of somebody, you know what I'm saying, who it's almost like a possible, you know, Moses petroglyph of this horned character with the staff, right? And the broken tablets right here. Now you got what could possibly be the Milky Way galaxy right here, which is a symbolism of Hathor, right? So you see him with the horns right here, which is the Baal, the sun god, and then you also got Ashtaroth, Ishtar, you know what I'm saying, Isis, Het Heru, Hathor, however you want to look at it, the Milky Way galaxy, the Queen of Heaven right here. You see what I'm saying? So when Moses came from Mount Sinai with the tablets, you know, and he seen the children of Israel diving into the worship of Hathor, the calf goddess, you know what I'm saying, the tablets broke. You feel what I'm saying? So, hey, check it out, right? You know what I'm saying? You see right here, you got Baal with the horns and the Milky Way galaxy, or the target, the spiral, right? Then you look at this thing right here. Now somebody asked me, they were like, man, is this a cedar tree? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, I don't know. But you want to know what it also looked like? It also looked like one of the things that the Egyptians hold. You know what I'm saying? The little shepherd style. Hold on. Okay, you see the little thing right here? You know what I'm saying? It almost looked like that thing them Egyptians be holding. You know what I'm saying? Cause even, hold on. Look at it, you see it right there again. You know, so there's some interesting things to keep in perspective. You know what I'm saying? But you have this in New Mexico along with, you know what I'm saying, the Los Lunas, the 10 Commandments being etched on stone in New Mexico, right? Okay, so we can see in this area right here, you know what I'm saying, there's definitely a biblical presence. You see what I'm saying? And even the etchings on the stone even have correlation to the biblical gods that would have been worshipped in that particular area. You see what I'm saying? So we see in Atzlan, which is Lebanon, you know what I'm saying, where the children of Israel were at and had joined themselves into other gods, right? That was involving the sun cities. We can see remnants of Joseph's sun city in the Grand King. You know what I'm saying? So we can see this stuff in this area, right? And that this area that is called, let me get it for you real fast. You know how we got to do it. Atzlan, right, meaning whiteness, right? But we know that the only place suitable to be called a cedar land is Lebanon, right? Lebanon also means whiteness. You feel what I'm saying? So those are very interesting things to keep in mind, because when we look at the map, right, of where they have Israel at, they have Moab, right? See, the Jordan is right here. You feel me? Moab is here. Moab is present day Jordan. But Lebanon is up here. You see what I'm saying? So, but when you really look at it at the same time, it's like Lebanon, Syria, Moab, you know what I'm saying? All at the same time. But Lebanon is up here and Moab is down there. But we can see the same practice of the same city and the same God and the same trees in the same area. You know what I'm saying? When the children of Israel was in the wilderness. So it kind of give you, you know what I'm saying, a certain perception. Now we know what also is in Lebanon is in Damascus, right? Remember we were talking about Damascus and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Now let me read you something interesting. We're gonna go to the book of Jasher. We're gonna be coming out the book of Jasher a lot today. So let's go. Okay, so I want to come right here to the book of Jasher, chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at verse 41, right? Okay, so when Abram and Lot, you know, and then everybody left Egypt and went into the land of Canaan, you know, Lot and Lot's men and, you know, Abram's men began to quarrel a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And so you know, so this is what goes on in verse 41. It said start at verse 40, say, Abram quarreled daily with Lot on account of this. But Lot would not listen to Adam, and he continued to do the same. And the inhabitants of the land came and told Abram. Okay, so and Abram said unto Lot, how long wilt thou be a stumbling block with the inhabitants of the land? Now I beseech thee, let there be no more quarreling between us, for we are kinsmen. He said, and be not afraid in going from me, for if anyone do any injury to thee, you know what I'm saying, let me know, and I will avenge thy cause for him. Thy cause for him only remove from me. You know what I'm saying? So it say, so when Abram had spoken these words to Lot, and Lot arose and lifted his eyes, he said, then Lot arose and lifted his eyes toward the plain of Jordan. All right, so understand something. Right now, Abram is in the plain of Mamre. So Mamre is in Hebron. We know Hebron is south of Jerusalem, right? Supposedly. So, you know what I'm saying? Now they down there quarreling. Now Lot has you know, he finna dip, right? So he finna separate, right? He was like, he lifted his eyes up to the plain of Jordan, right? So we know what's by the Jordan, right? Because we know in Joshua chapter 3 that when the Israelites leave Shittim or Lebanon, the place of the cedars, they cross the Jordan, right? So he say when Abram spoken all these words to Lot, then Lot rose and lifted his eyes toward the plain of Jordan. All right. And he saw that the whole of this place was well watered and good for man, as well as affording pasture for the cattle. Now that's very interesting, right? Because let's go back to the map. You know what I'm saying? We see, you know what I'm saying, the biblical presence in this area called Atzlan, right? That is also Lebanon, meaning whiteness, but it also has a Moab, right? A Moab, you know what I'm saying? In a place of, you know, the incorruptible wood like Shittim. Now, like I say, Moab, right, is Jordan now, right? Because it's across the Jordan River. You see what I'm saying? So with all that being stated, we see that Lot arose and lifted up his eyes towards the plain of Jordan, right around Moab, and he said the whole of this place was well watered. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you over here back to Damascus, right? Damascus, you know what I'm saying, is ongoing Syrian Shims, also nicknamed the city of Jasmine. Okay. But it located in southwest Syria. Damascus is the center of a large metropolitan area, whatever. Geographically embedded on the eastern foothills of the anti-Lebanon mountain range, right? And remember, Baal Bek is what? Is north of Damascus. You feel what I'm saying? And we know Baal Bek is in where? Is in Lebanon. Now check this out. Let's go down to the etymology, the names and etymology. It said the names of Damascus first appeared in the geographical list of Tutmosis III Temesky. All right, so we're gonna get in there. Okay, but it said in the 15th century BC, the etymology of the ancient name Temesky is uncertain, but it is suspected to be pre-Semitic. It is attested to Damascus, an Akkadian Temesky, okay, Egyptian Damask, okay, in Aramaic Damascus or whatever, in Hebrew. It said the Akkadian spelling is found in the Aramana letters from the 14th century BC. Later, Aramaic spellings of the name included an intrusive resh, letter R, perhaps influenced by the door, dr, meaning dwelling. Okay, now check this out. Thus, the English and Latin name of the city of Damascus is Damascus, which was imported from Greek, originating from the Quranic Darmeshk, right? The Quranic, right, dealing with the Essenes and Quran, right? But the caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls were hidden, right? Where they found the Dead Sea Scrolls supposedly. Okay, so it say the English and Latin name of the city is Damascus, which was imported from Greek, right? It originated from the Quranic Darmeshk, you know what I'm saying? Darmusk in Syria, meaning a well-watered land. You feel me? So we see that when Lot, you know what I'm saying, separated himself from Abram, he went toward the plain of Jordan, right? And he said the place was well watered, which literally is the translation for the name of Damascus. You feel what I'm saying? And they say, and good for man as well as affording pasture for cattle. Now, somebody, please tell me, is it not the southwestern or just really the western part of the United States really? Is this not cattle land? Is it not ranch land with all the ranches and the cattle are at? You feel what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like in this area right here, man, there's a lot of ranch land. Now, ranches are everywhere, of course, you know what I'm saying? But we know, you know what I'm saying, this is ranch land. And even when we look at the petroglyphs, let's see if I can, even when we look at the petroglyphs, we see a lot of cattle, right? All of, you know what I'm saying? We see a lot of cattle. A lot of cattle on the petroglyphs, right? Okay, so going over it again real quick, we see that Lot is going to the plain of Jordan, right? And Jordan is right before Moab, right? And in Moab we have a place of Shittim, of the incorruptible wood, of the cedar trees, which we know as Lebanon. You feel what I'm saying? So Lebanon is also Axland, which is the same region, right? We see the petroglyphs in the history, right? So Lebanon, being this area, is also, you know, where the Moab is, by the plains of Jordan, supposedly. You see what I'm saying? Now your boy Lot went there And it said the land was well watered and good for cattle. It was basically called it Damascus, right, in the place of cattle. So that's very interesting, and it correlates perfectly. Now check this out. Okay, so that brings me over here to this video I had made, right, the tribal gathering of Lebanon. And I was showing you all the Lebanons in the eastern part of the United States, along with Axland of the West, right? So we got the brother Joe. He was like amazing drop, brother. He said the Chaco Canyon area of New Mexico and the Chaco and the Canyon de Chile of Arizona could also be a part of the drop. He said the Canyon de Chile has an old ruin known as the White House because it was covered with white plaster. Most of the wood fragments were found were mostly juniper, payan, and cedar. Archaeologists have also found that these areas were civilized from Meso and South. These areas were settled by civilizations from Meso and South America region and kept trade network alive for thousands of years. Okay, bam, check that out. So now you have I'm gonna pull up the link the brother sent, right? You know what I'm saying? Indians' use of payan juniper woodlands, right? Talking about the cedar. You know what I'm saying? All that. I'm gonna read right here just real quick. It say the desert west was in home to various Shoshone, Uto, Aztecan speaking groups, Ute, Southern Paiute, Northern Paiute, Kauai, Sioux, Washoe, Hokan, the Great Basin, Colorado Plain, and the Pleboan, the Hopi. All right, that's gonna be important for something later. The Athabascan, Navajo, and Apache peoples of Arizona and New Mexico. All right, so you know what I'm saying. I just wanted to get that real quick. Okay, so now, like you say, this ruin is known as the White House, right? And let's check it out. But before we do that, we know that it is in what? It is in Canyon de Chile of Arizona, and it is called the White House, because it was covered with white plaster. Now, this is in Arizona. Arizona is in Aztlan, right? And we know Aztlan means whiteness. So you have this place, right, being called the White House in the place of whiteness. You feel what I'm saying? So check it out. You know what I'm saying? Now this is a cave. You feel what I'm saying? Let's see if we can get a quick history on this. All right, so I'm gonna bring you to this site right here. You know, at NathanSaucer.com. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna read you this article now. So let's analyze this again. We have an area called Aztlan, which is Lebanon, which means whiteness, right? And it's full of cedar trees, you know what I'm saying, as we showed previously. Not only that, but you have remnants of Egyptian cities that was in the land that should be there according to the sun coat. You see what I'm saying? As well as the petroglyph to show, you know what I'm saying, portions of the Exodus in the area. Now we see Lot has went back to this area and he said it was a well-watered land. Another name for Damascus, right? And we see that the Essenes, the sons of Zadok, left Jerusalem and went to Damascus, right? Or what they call Qumran. You feel what I'm saying? To have their what? Purification in their lawful establishment, right? Their tribally incorrupt establishment in Damascus, right? Now, so when you dig on the Damascus, they say that it could possibly not be talking about the Damascus of the Bible, you know what I'm saying, but a different Damascus. But like we showed, the word Damascus, when you're dealing with the origins from the Qumranic, which is the place where the Essenes, the sons of Zadok, went, that word is what means well-watered land. You see what I'm saying? So when Lot said he went to a well-watered land, this could possibly be the same land that the Essenes went to, right? And it's in Moab. Well, you know what I'm saying? It's in the area that we would call Moab, USA. Now, what's funny about this is we can even see priest, right? Because when you look at this place, hold on one second. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. It's just it's a lot of drop. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Okay, so when we look at this drop, we can see you know what I'm saying? That even in Qumran, the Essenes, the Zadokite priests, went and dwelt in the caves of Qumran, right? Okay, so now when we're looking at this place, we see, you know what I'm saying, you got the White House right here, right? And then we see that hold on one second. Okay, and when we see that it's like a cave dwelling. Now understand something. Now it's also in the place we call Moab, Utah, the plains of Moab, stuff like that in this Four Corners region, right? So you have this cave dwelling in this Moab region, right? That is similar to how the priests would have dwelt in their Qumran. Now the place could be the possible Qumran because it has the Damascus, you know what I'm saying, reference to a well-watered land. Although we know it's barren and it's desert now, but you know what I'm saying, there's no telling how it could have been back then. But I say all that to say this, that we know that biblical priests understand this concept right here of these cave dwellers. Okay, so like I say, I'm gonna bring you over here to Jeremiah chapter 48. Because like I say, we can see that the biblical Hebrews are very, you know what I'm saying, this cave dwelling thing is something fun, you know what I'm saying, something we're very fond to. Like even when we read in the book of Joshua, Noah and his sons, you know, they would dwell in the cave. When people would leave places, they would go and find caves and they would build, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that and inhabit. So now we're looking at this White House, right? That's in the Canyon de Chelly, right? These ruins around a place what you would call like Moab, Utah, stuff like that. Now when you, like I say, the priests are familiar with this concept because even when you look at Jeremiah, in the book of Jeremiah chapter 48, you go to when you see what? The judgment of Moab. We know that Jeremiah is a Levite. He's from the tribe of priests. He's a prophet, right? We see him telling them in verse 28, he say, "O ye that dwell in Moab, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth. O ye that dwell in Moab, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like a dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth." So, you feel me? When you look at these canyon dwellings in this area, it definitely fits that description. So we know now Jeremiah is also the same one, according to the second book of Maccabees, who took the Ark of the Covenant and placed it back up in Nebo. So they were fond of going back and forth between this place, you know what I'm saying, to do things like that. You feel what I'm saying? So now when you look at this place, let's go and get some history on it. White House ruins, Canyon de Chelly, Chenal, Arizona. On a recent visit to Canyon de Chelly, part of the Navajo Nation, my wife and I had a great time learning about the Navajo people, in addition to the Canyon and Navajos that live there. All right. So, they say about 70 families lived in or around the Canyon de Chelly. Technically, the land was owned by the Navajo Nation. The land is leased to the occupants. Okay, we don't need that. They say, according to Wikipedia, the name Canyon de Chelly comes from the name Chele, or Chile, is a Spanish borrowing of the Navajo word Sayi, which means canyon, literally inside the rock, inside of, within, right? Like he said, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, right? And be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth. Okay. So now the reason why I wanted to do that is because I wanted to make, you know, just a little comparison. Okay, so check this place out right here, right? This is Qumran, right, where the Essenes, the Zadokite priests, supposedly left and went and separated themselves and rewrote the statutes of the law, right? But they dwelled in caves, right? You see the Qumran caves, Bible places, you know what I'm saying? Check that out. Where they initiated the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? Where they left and they rewrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, one of the main documents that they find here, or supposedly find here, is what we call the Damascus Document from the Essenes, right? Saying that they went to a place called Damascus, that they called Damascus. But we know, right, I'll get it again, that the originated from the Qumramic Damascus and Damascus Syriac, meaning a well-watered land, right? So we can see that the Damascus that they was talking about they went to was supposedly a well-watered land. Now we also see Lot going to a well-watered land, right? And a place that's good for pasture, a place of pasture that's good for cattle, that's around the plains of Jordan, right? Which is around Moab, okay? So now in that place we find, you know what I'm saying, over here in the Americas, we find stuff like this, right? In Arizona, you know, around Moab and Utah, and all those things. And we see, you know what I'm saying, this type of dwelling that's inside the rock. But the reason why I want to make this comparison, because if you look at what they say the Essenes went in Qumran, you know what I'm saying, check it out. But it looks very similar to where this place is at, on this side of the world, right? You know what I'm saying, in the canyons. Check it out, just wait, you'll see. You know what I'm saying? One of the more popular things at Canyon de Chelly is the White House ruins, nested, and be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth. Nested into the edge of a lower canyon with a southern exposure is a set of Indian ruins named White House Ruins. This is the only trail you can go to without a Navajo escort. Okay. The reason they call it White House is because of the white colored plastered paint that was used on the house. White House Ruins stands out above lower ruins in the sandstone cave in Canyon de Chelly monument, right? These ruins were built by the Anasazi people. Anasazi is a Navajo word for the ancient ones. Okay, but remember, we still, you know what I'm saying, we still I don't want to get, you know, too sidetracked. Because we're looking at this place right here in Qumran, right? See how it's kind of built. See how it's kind of set up. Right? And we're looking at this, these canyons over here. Okay, now look at this. Now look at that. You feel me? So, what if they were seeing these priestly documents, you know what I'm saying, from these priestly Indians that had migrated into the land where the cedar tree was, from here? You see what I'm saying? No, we just building. We just reasoning. But I find these correlations to be very, very interesting. Okay, so real quick, you know what I'm saying? So right now we're looking over here, you know what I'm saying, and we're looking at a possible Damascus over here, you know what I'm saying? But remember the last time we was building and we were digging from this point, right, when we were looking at Tennessee. And remember I was telling you I see the word Assyrian in Tennessee, right? And how there's the Cedars of Lebanon, you know what I'm saying, State Park, all that, you know, surround all these Lebanons. And there's also a Damascus, Tennessee. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because even though we were looking at the well-watered land where Lot went and we're referring that, you know what I'm saying, to a possible location of Damascus, we can't sleep on Tennessee either, dog, because I'm going to show you something in the translation real fast. Okay, so when you go to the names and the etymology of Damascus, you see that it appears in its earlier forms like this with the T, right? Tamaske, right? Tamaske. The squaw, right? Or however you want to say it, you know what I'm saying? But check that out. Damascus, right? So sometimes you see it with the Damascus, right? Damasqua with the Q at the end, the Damasqua. However you want to look at it, Damask, you know what I'm saying? But I just find that kind of interesting because when you go to the etymology of the word Tennessee, you know, you get Tanasi, right? Or Tanasqui. You feel what I'm saying? Tanasi, right? So now if it was a M in that place, it would almost be the same thing. It would be Damascus. It would almost be like Damascus, right? But even when you look at the word for you know what I'm saying, what the word means in the Cherokee and the Yuchi language, and then my brother Natural by Law, you know what I'm saying, shouts out to you, bro. He just showed you the cities of refuge, the Levitical cities right among the Cherokee in Tennessee, right? And he said and it says right here, it has been said to mean meeting place, right? Almost make you think of you know what I'm saying, Damascus means dwelling, but we know that Damascus also means what? A well-watered land. And not only the Tennessee means meeting place, but it also means winding river or river of great bend. You know what I'm saying? So it's dealing with the water too. The name is dealing with the land and the, you know what I'm saying, and the water or the rivers, you know what I'm saying, that's on the land. So I just find that stuff very interesting. So we still looking, you know what I'm saying, with the open eye, but the correlations are there nonetheless. Okay, so now continuing on, so from where Lot went and the place was well watered, right? And it was good for pasture and cattle. Check this out. It say, and Lot went from Abraham to that place, right? And he there pitched his tent, and he dwelt in Sodom. Bam. Okay, and they were separated from each other, and Abram dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron. You know what I'm saying? And he pitched his tent there, and Abram remained there in this place for many years. Okay, so you go to the next chapter, right? And we talking about Sodom. You feel what I'm saying? We talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. You feel what I'm saying? So, the place where, you know what I'm saying, Lot went is also, you know what I'm saying, near Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so when we look at Sodom and Gomorrah, you know what I'm saying, we all know, you know, what pretty much happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. You know what I'm saying? How the Most High rained hellfire, you know, brimstone and stuff like that down upon the city. For its wickedness, right? For the sexuality, you know what I'm saying, that was the licentious activities that was going on in the city. Now remember, the worship of Baal Peor is also a licentious cult. It's very sexual. It is very sexual. Now, not only this, but we know that this is also this Hathor worship, you know what I'm saying? That's also a glorification of the feminine principle. Now remember, you got cities where you got a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying, folk, the fruity folk, you know what I'm saying, these homosexuals or whatnot, excuse me, in this city, right? Now think about that. These folks are homosexuals, they gay, and then what does that tell you? It tell you that they're very associated with the feminine principle. Even the men, they submit their masculine side and embrace their feminine side. You feel what I'm saying? So it can still correlate to the worship of Baal Peor in the sense and stuff like, you know, what the children of Israel was getting into in the wilderness. That's why this drop right here is really, it's going to show you what not to do in the wilderness. And if we are in the time of the wilderness, be it so or not, look at what our people are doing. Look at what they're engaging in the conscious community, certain things that they're promoting in the commission community. It's all the worship of Baal Peor, the worship of the womb, the matrix, Het Hathor, the mother of Heru, this mother-son worship. You feel what I'm saying? The worship of the womb, the yoni, the matrix. You know what I'm saying? So just keep all that in mind. But I say that because when we're looking at this city and we're looking at pictures, scroll down, we get stuff like this. Feel me? Sodom and Gomorrah. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't this also look like Qumran? You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Look at this. This is what they got, you know what I'm saying, and stuff for Sodom and Gomorrah, you know. This is where they say Sodom and Gomorrah is at. But what does it look like? Look at that. You know what I'm saying? Does this not look like the canyons in the Four Corners regions, right? The Grand Canyon, where the city was, you know what I'm saying? And then they tell you that in the Grand Canyon and in those canyons land, it looks like a nuclear disaster went off. Some type of disaster, you feel what I'm saying, that went off. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'll let you be the judge. But we see in every case whatsoever, you know what I'm saying? They be trying to flip the script. Right? Let's see if I can go back to that other picture. Right here. Hold on, that ain't the one. Okay, you know what I'm saying? These right here. You know what I'm saying? That looks like Qumran. You know what I'm saying? You used to do that shit really, if I'm not mistaken, this is Qumran. So it's like, which one is it? Is it Sodom and Gomorrah or is it Qumran? You know what I'm saying? But we know one thing though. You feel me? We know that we can fight and validate our story over here because it's over here. You know what I'm saying? Even when you look at the story of Hathor at Mount Sinai, you see the rocks on the petroglyphs over there. It's the same ones from over here. You feel what I'm saying? Like I showed. You know, so moving forward. Alright, so you know, we're looking at this land and stuff like that, and you know, we were just talking about the Grand Canyon and stuff, the Canyon lands, and so remember how we were talking about the remnants of an Egyptian city in the Grand Canyon. Now remember we was showing how that was they was also finding Joseph city in the Americas. Joseph ruled a biblical city in the Americas, right? And we know that Joseph ruled from On, which was Heliopolis, the sun city, right, where he received his wife that bare his two half Egyptian sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. You know what I'm saying? So now they can find remnants of an Egyptian city here, right? And then, you know, based upon some of the stuff we've been looking at, what is interesting is the Hopi, right? Like we were building on last time, but we're gonna touch on it again. In this area we have what we call the Ant people, this legend of the Ant people from the Hopi, right? And these are the petroglyphs that's all over, you know, the region, the Four Corners area. You know what I'm saying? We see them and being depicted with these horns, right? The Ant people, right? This is the Hopi Indians. You see what I'm saying? Two priests of Hopi. So see the priest. Oh my God, boy. This drop, it never fails, boy. But you see the priests are wearing the horns. You see what I'm saying? Just like the priest of On, right? The priest of Hathor, the priest of the sun gods, they wear the horns, right? The sun god is depicted with the horns. So we see in the Hopi legend, we got what you call the Ant people, right? Now the story of the Ant people, as we got it, was that these Ant people was coming by, and they were teaching the Hopi how to store food and how to live in caves. Okay, so let's get some drop. Okay, so it's the ant hills of Orion, the ancient star beings of the Hopi. All right, so check this out. You can check this out. You know, you even got some talk about some Nephilim from the Bible. But what I want to do is I want to hop down here, right here. Okay, it says the Hopi word for ant is anu. In the same language, saying a nexus of concepts pertaining to this insect that sometimes fly, a combination of the two words Anunnaki or ant friend may be related to Stitchin's Anunnaki, the Babylonian sky god, was deities wearing peaked hats. The Hopi sky god Satuk. Anyway. Name closely associated with the earth god Masa'u, also wearing pointed headdresses. Like Middle Eastern counterparts, these American Indian divinities were present at the creation of the universe and continue to be the instrument of culture as development. Okay, so Anu or Danu was also the appellation of the Celtic mother goddess and patron of the dead. Okay. In addition, Anu was another name for the Egyptian city of Heliopolis. Remember, Baalbek is what? Heliopolis is the Latinization of the Greek Heliopolis, meaning sun city, in reference to the sun coat there, of this Baalbek that was in Lebanon. Alright. Okay, where the Ben stone of meteoric iron was kept. Oh, dang. Now that made me think about Wakanda and El Dorado and everything else. I don't know why that just hit me like that, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Anyways, so furthermore, the Egyptian word anu meant not only products, revenues, or something brought in, but also gifts, tributes, and offerings. Okay, this referred to both the ants' ability to store provisions and the reverence given to the ant people. In any case, their influence is global. Okay, so check that out now. So, you got, like I say, now this article don't tell you, but if you study the ant people, it'll tell you that these are the people who taught the Hopi how to live in the subterranean caves. You feel what I'm saying? Now, this name, Anu, is also the city. It's also the name for the Egyptian city of Heliopolis, which is the sun city, the city of the sun. Okay, you Google city of On, you get Heliopolis. You feel what I'm saying? So, and what's funny about that is you also get the two cities, and you get you know what I'm saying, the one in Lebanon, and you also get this one right here. But let's check this one out. Okay, so right here in the names, Heliopolis of ancient Egypt, you see Heliopolis is a Latinized form of Ptolemaic Greek, Heliopolis meaning city of the sun, right? Helios, the personified and deified form of the sun, was identified by the Greeks with the native Egyptians god Ra. It's all the same stuff. And Atum, whose principal cult was located in the city, right? In this city of the sun. Okay, its native name was Iwanu, right? Okay, the pillars. Okay, keep going. Say who exact pronunciation is uncertain, but the ancient Egyptians recorded only a consonant vowels. Its traditional Egyptological transcription is Iunu, right? But it appears in biblical Hebrew as On or Awen, leading scholars to reconstruct its pronunciation as Awanu, varying transcripts as Awnu or and Anu. See, the city appears in the old Kingdom Pyramid text as the house of Ra, the house of the sun god, with its sun worship was being at, which is the glorification of the female genital. Really, so understand that Anu is the city of On, right? And we know that Joseph, right, was ruling in the city of On because his wife came from the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. So his sons even came from On. You see what I'm saying? Which is Heliopolis, the sun city Anu. Now we also know that this same city also, the priest of this city also bears the name that was given to Baalbek of Lebanon. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, so in the Grand Canyon, you got this story, right, and this legend referring to these ant people, that came from these Hopi Indians, right? And the legend is about these ant people, essentially helping the Hopi to dwell in subterranean caves. Not only that, but how to store food and I guess also produce food. You feel what I'm saying? That's why they called them the ant people, because you can see right here it said that this refers both to the ants' ability to store provisions. Okay, so now understand something. Like I said before, we know Joseph, you know what I'm saying, is associated with this place On, right? On is considered Joseph's city, right? And he is ruling from there. Now remember in the Bible that there was famine in all the land of Canaan. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody really ain't had no food except for Joseph, because Joseph, right, you know what I'm saying, he was able to understand the signs of the times and the stars and stuff like that. So by the wisdom of the Most High. So he was that's what made him king of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And by that wisdom, he was able to feed the nation, right? Provide food because he understood how, how to harvest. Now, remember, Jacob sent his other sons, 11 sons or whatever, to go to Egypt to fetch grain because they heard that it was food there. They didn't know that Joseph was Joseph was the reason at the time, but they knew food was there, and Joseph was producing this food, right? Coming from the city of On, the city of the sun, Heliopolis, right? And we can find remnants of that in the Grand Canyon where this legend is at. But he's ruling from the city of On, right? Let's get it real fast. And we know that the city of On is also called Awanu, which is Anu, right? And then we read from this article that the Hopi word for Anu, the Hopi word for ant is Anu. So they calling them the ant people, the Anu people, the people from the city of On. Joseph, they seen Joseph coming in there giving them provisions, right? Which is why you can see Joseph's sons in the Americas, because we know what Joseph had 2 children from the daughter of the priest of On. They were Ephraim and Manasseh, right? Okay, we know that Ephraim is the head of the 10 northern tribes, right? The kingdom of Israel. Okay, and we also know that your boy Manasseh, that tribe stayed beyond the Jordan, right? When the Israelites went into their land, we know that 3 tribes stayed beyond the Jordan, which was Gad, and I think Reuben and Manasseh. So Joseph's children, were powerful children. They was able to be grafted into the sons of Jacob. So you have these 2 half Egyptian sons that came from an Egyptian city, right? Ephraim and Manasseh. One is ruling the northern tribes of Israel, and the other one is beyond the Jordan, reigning and ruling. Now, they come from their father Joseph, who is ruling in the city of Anu, that is also referred to the ant people, right? Now check this out. Let's see, right? If we know that the Israelites leave Shittim and come down into, and make conquest into the Holy Land with their Mashiach Joshua, and we know 3 tribes stay, you feel what I'm saying? 3 tribes stay, ask yourself, what do ants do? Ants build mounds. You feel what I'm saying? Joseph's children come from the city of the ant people. You feel what I'm saying? And now you got mounds all over the Americas, like nowhere else really. But that's a trait of the ant. You see what I'm saying? Coming from, right, a new ant, which was the Egyptian city of Heliopolis. You know what I'm saying? Which is also, on the city of Anu. So Joseph's children come from On, the city of Anu, which is the Hopi word for ant. You know what I'm saying? And we can see their presence in the Americas. Right? Remember Solomon, what Solomon say? Consider the ant ye sluggard. These people was like ants building. Right? And then their brothers who did cross the Jordan and reign, right? In the northern portion of Israel, look at their cities. See what I'm saying? Think about that. Now, these are 2 cities. These are 2 areas that are possibly inhabited by Joseph's children that come out of Egypt. And now you see step temples, right? Pyramids, right? All among their cities. You know what I'm saying? Mounds, right? That's a sign of Joseph's children. Okay, because even if you go to Hosea chapter 8, verse 14, it kind of tell you, you know what I'm saying, the way that the tribes build, right? They say, for Israel, speaking of the northern tribes, right, have forgotten his maker, and he buildeth temples. And Judah have multiplied fenced cities. See what I'm saying? But I will send fires upon his cities, and it shall devour the palaces thereof. Now check that out. Judah builds fenced cities, which is also, you know what I'm saying, you can call these walled cities, stone wall cities. You see what I'm saying? Now study your Incas in the South America, and you will find that they dwell in the fence in the walled cities. Now, like I say, Israel, the northern kingdom, they buildeth temples. Okay, so when you see these temples right here, you know what I'm saying? These step pyramids that are, you can see the blueprint, right, from the children of Joseph, right? This people who come from the Egyptian city of On, how they made their temples, right? But they build temples. That's the way the nation of Israel do it, right? So I just wanted to show y'all that. Okay, man. So to conclude all that right there, you know what I'm saying, I just want to really end on two things, building on these particular points, right, and how we was looking at Damascus, a well-watered land and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And we know that these Assyrians separated themselves and went into the land, you know what I'm saying, in this particular area, to cleanse and purify themselves and create the new law. Now we see this area is also considered the homeland of a certain people, meaning that they came from this place. You know what I'm saying? So you can just see that little that type of situation that's going on there. But what I wanted to bring about was because we're finding a lot of that stuff to be, you know what I'm saying, in this area right here. You know what I'm saying? Like we were just talking about the White House, the Chaco Canyon, you know, things favoring Qumran and stuff like that. Now when we were talking about Damascus, we was talking about a well-watered land. Now you looking at this land over here like it's a desert. You know what I'm saying? So you like, how can that possibly, how does that really fit that description? Truthfully, because we know over here, like where Tennessee is at and the stuff we were looking at, we know that's a well-watered land because we got the Mississippi River, Tennessee River going all up through this area right here. So this area is definitely well-watered. You know what I'm saying? But when we look at this area right here, it's definitely a land of pasture. Now we need to find out what's up with the well-watered part of it. But we know we're looking at Ashland, which means Lebanon, which means whiteness. You know what I'm saying? Just like we know Lebanon means whiteness. So what I want to do is I want to take you over here to Isaiah chapter 35, where the ransom shall return. Now check this out. It say the wilderness, right? And the solitary place, right? Right, what's Arsareth, right? The solitary place, right? The cedar land, which is also Lebanon, right? Which is the wilderness, right? Okay, the wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with the joy and singing. And the glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it. Bam! Understand that the glory of whiteness, of purity, of purification shall be given unto it. This place of cedars, right? The excellency of Carmel and Sharon, they shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God, right? We know we see Most High face to face in the wilderness. But it say, strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees, and say to them that are fearful, that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, and even God with a recompense, he will come and save you. He will come and save you. You feel me? Okay, so it say, then the eyes of the blind shall be open, the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Okay, it say, and then shall the lame men leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. It say, for in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. And the habitation, what? Oh, in the habitation of dragons, where each lay shall be grass with reeds and rushes, right? You could also, you know what I'm saying, this probably could be referred to as serpents. You know what I'm saying? So in the desert, right, in the habitation where the serpents lay, you know, shall be grass, reeds, and rushes. Serpents, though, also mean, you know what I'm saying, Baalim. Okay, and a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those. The wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein. It say, no lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall be not found there. It say, but the redeemed shall walk there. It say, and the ransom of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with gladness, with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness and sorrow, and sighing shall flee away. So understand that right there. Okay, so in this place, right, a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. Now understand something. Now that make you think of Isaiah chapter 40, right? Where he say, let me see. It say, Isaiah 40, right? The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, right? Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Now we know John said what? Okay, so now this right, when you go to John first chapter, you get the testimony of John the Baptist, say, and this is the record of John, where the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, who art thou? Right? Because he is descendant of the Zadokite priesthood, the righteous priesthood that's separated. So these priests, these Levites in Jerusalem, you know what I'm saying, to win wicked, are now trying to find out like who he is, because we know that he is the baptizer, right? Now check this out. John said that, he said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet Isaiah, right? Isaiah. So John, the Zadokite priest, is saying that he is the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, because we know John did what? John baptized people, which means that he christened people, right? So is he christening you to become Christian and then dive in Babylonian paganism, or is he christening you to bring you back into the bond of the covenant in a more pure, holy way that was orchestrated by the Essenes, the sons of Zadok, who John learned from himself, right? So when we go to Isaiah chapter 40, and we see the voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway of God. Now we see what, you know what I'm saying, what's going on in when the ransom shall return in Isaiah chapter 35. And an highway shall be there, a way, because it's going to be the way, the righteous way that's, you know what I'm saying, instilled in that particular, you know what I'm saying, area that is the tribal members who are orchestrated in an ecclesiastical manner by divine law. You feel what I'm saying? Through the righteous precepts of the priest of Zadok and the Essenes, right? And it says, a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness, right? And the unclean shall not pass over it. So where this highway is, we can see that the way of holiness is, and we can see the presence of the Zadokite priest, because we know John is this voice that's crying at this place and establishing this way, you know, supposedly, right? So when we know one thing, we know that the Essenes went to Damascus. You feel what I'm saying? We know that the Essenes went to Damascus, which was a well-watered land, right? And so now we looking at Ashland, this place of whiteness, Lebanon, right? And we were looking at the area by the plains of Moab where Lot went, where he said that he went, let me see if I can get it, to a place that was well watered and it was good for cattle. Now we can also see, now we can also see in the book of Jeremiah, right, that this same place is truthfully a well-watered land, although it is a desert, because we see what? It see, then shall the lame man leap as in heart, and the tongue of the dumb shall sing. For in the wilderness, right, in this wilderness, in this solitary place, that shall be given the glory of whiteness of Lebanon, it says, shall waters break out, and streams in the desert, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and thirsty lands springs of water. So this land is definitely going to become a what? A well-watered land, a Damascus, a place in which we reestablish ourselves, right, in moral purity. You feel what I'm saying? In moral purity and in whiteness. So remember that. Understand that. Understand what it means to be incorruptible. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, fam. So hope everybody still rocking with me, man. I hope you guys still tuned in and everything, man. I'm gonna tell you, that wasn't even the real drop that I wanted to bring. I really wanted to bring you this here. You know, this was really supposed to be the main, you know what I'm saying, gist of the drop. But man, like, that drop right there, I guess it just had to come out like that. But I hope y'all still rocking with me, because I actually got more to show you, you know what I'm saying, which is what I was really intending to show you. But it is what it is, man. We give all thanks and praise to the Most High. So now we was digging, you know, we really got a good drop on the wilderness and what was going on in the wilderness. And it's like we were playing my sister Israel Redemption's video in the beginning, right? I remember watching a video from her where she was actually saying that we are in the time of the wilderness. Now that's a very interesting concept. Not saying that it's, you know, that it's right, that that's what it is, or that it's wrong, but just when you consider it, you know, it's very interesting in perspective, because you can see, okay, what was going on in the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? Where our people was at, what they were amongst, and what they was doing. Then you can see in these last days, you know what I'm saying, in these end times, what our people still doing, the ways in which they moving. You feel what I'm saying? And how they moving. So this drop really it really help you understand what was done in the wilderness and what not to do. You know what I'm saying? In the wilderness, right? For separation, purification. And so what I want to show, man, is how you can get tricked and caught up, right? In Baal worship, in this satanic worship, because Satan is a scavenger. You feel what I'm saying? He really just scavenged and you know what I'm saying, and really just inserted himself into, you know, the minds of wicked people and raised them up, right? And they rule over you. So and as long as you are supporting their religions or belief systems, you are keeping that dominion, that satanic dominion over you. So we got to cut that out. Remember, the cedar put the serpent to flight. You feel what I'm saying? So understand that we know who this serpent is. We know who this dragon, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, they worshiping Quetzalcoatl before the white man come, and they're actually, come to find out, they actually worshiping the white man, you know what I'm saying, and Baal. But what is Quetzalcoatl? That's a feathered serpent. That's a dragon. You feel what I'm saying? What Revelation tell you? Okay, so when you look at Revelation, you see in chapter 12, right, we know that the woman, you know what I'm saying, which is the children of Israel, she fled into the wilderness, right? She fled into the wilderness where she got a place prepared of God. You see what I'm saying? And it says Satan throw down to earth, right? Okay. Right here it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. You see what I'm saying? He was cast to the earth, him and his angels, right? His minions with him. Okay, so you got the people over there worshiping a dragon, right? A feathered serpent, a flying serpent, a dragon, which is the devil, which is Satan, which is Baal, right before their destruction, right? Right before their demise. But we know, right, that the Israelites flee into the wilderness where she have a place prepared of God that does what? See if we can get it. Right? She was given 2 great wings of an eagle that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for times and times a half from the face of the serpent. All right? So, you know, with that little bit of understanding, we can see, you know what I'm saying, what's up with the drop. You know what I'm saying? But right here, dog, this chapter is almost like, you know, the falling of Satan and Baalim and his children's kingdom, right? Their state of heaven that they have set up on the earth falling, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, while the Israelites go into their place of purity, right? To you know what I'm saying, to go away from them. But yeah, saying all that though, just to show, you know what I'm saying, this serpent, right? And this Baal, this dragon, his infiltration, right, into the doctrine of people who are close to us, right? Even in ours, you know what I'm saying? But in these last days, it's best that we discern righteousness from wickedness and get all that satanic Baal drop out the way. So let's dig on it. Okay, so what I want to do, like I say, I want to show you how Satan is a scavenger, right? How he has this all-seeing eye of wickedness. You feel what I'm saying? To where he does what? Like he said in Job, he goes to and fro throughout the earth, seeking whom he may devour. You feel what I'm saying? So with that being said, just understand Satan is looking for wicked people that he can raise up and to establish. You know what I'm saying? And that's where these wicked religions, that's where they all come from. So I'm gonna let the Thomas Boone speak, the brother Thomas Boone speak. You know what I'm saying? Let him I think he's reading from the book of Adam and Eve, right? When we're dealing with the sacrifices of Cain and Abel, and stuff like that. I want to show you how Satan swiftly, you know what I'm saying, scavenger his way in there. You know what I'm saying? And the brother Thomas Boone, like I say, he put it together beautiful for you. So I'm gonna let you catch this drop real quick, and so I'll be back.
Then Eve said to Adam, I do not like Cain, because he is hard-hearted, but let them stay with us until we offer up to the Most High in their behalf. And Adam said no more. Meanwhile, Satan came to Cain in the figure of a man of the field. Meanwhile, Satan came to Cain in the figure of a man of the field no more. Meanwhile, Satan came to Cain in the figure of a man of the field and said to him, Behold, Adam and Eve have taken counsel together about the marriage of you two. And they have agreed to marry Abel's sister to you and your sister to him. But if it was not that I love you, I would not have told you this thing. Yet if you would take my advice and obey me, I will bring to you on your wedding day beautiful robes, gold and silver in plenty, and my relations will attend you. Then Cain said with joy, Where are your relations? And Satan answered, My relations are in a garden in the north, where I once meant to bring your father Adam, but he would not accept my offer. But you, if you receive my word, and Satan answered, My relations are in a garden in the north, where I once meant to bring your father Adam, but he would not accept my offer. But you, if you receive my words, and if you will come to me after your wedding, you shall rest from the misery in which you are, and you shall rest and be better off than your father Adam, my offer. But you, if you receive my words, and if you will come to me after your wedding, you shall rest from the misery in which you are, and you shall rest and be better off than your father Adam. Look at Satan. Boy, I tell you, as a roaring lion.
Alright, bam, so I gotta build on that, you know what I'm saying? From the beginning, you see Satan look at, you know what I'm saying, see the wickedness in Cain, check him out, and come down there, you know what I'm saying, and spit game to him, you know. And what does Satan do? When somebody is casted out by their father, just pay attention to whenever someone is casted out by their father, Satan steps in to play, you know what I'm saying, to play daddy. You feel what I'm saying? Now he telling you, boy, he say, listen, man, but you know, if you accept my offer, you know, I'm gonna give you all this good stuff. You know, even though you've been, you know what I'm saying, you've been messing up, you know what I'm saying, and you in this position because you over here doing wickedly. But if you accept my offer, you know, I'm gonna make things better than the people who are doing the righteous stuff. You feel what I'm saying? So from the beginning, you can see how Satan, you know what I'm saying, infiltrated Cain, dog, and with the whole blood covenant, blood sacrifice and everything, it came through the hand of Satan, right? Because we can see, like I say, like that's why I said that animal sacrifice was a gateway drug, you know what I'm saying, to human sacrifice and murder. Because that's how Satan used to train Cain to become a murderer, right? Through murdering his flock first, then, you know what I'm saying, building up that bloodthirst and you know, building with him to be, you know, to be a very sacrificial and murderous person, which was why he was cursed and casted out. But just pay attention to the pattern, right? Because it'll tell you something about these Ma sons.
Verse 11. At these words of Satan, Cain opened his ears and leaned towards his speech. And he did not remain in the field, but he went to Eve his mother and beat her and cursed her and said to her, why are you planning to take my sister to wed her to my brother? Am I dead? His mother, however, quieted him and sent him to the field where he had been. Then when Adam came, she told him of what Cain had done. But Adam grieved and held his peace and said not a word. Then on the next morning, Adam said to Cain his son, take of your sheep, young and good, and offer them up to your God. Hold on. Let me read that one more time. This is the confirmation, okay? Then on the next morning, Adam said to Cain his son, take of your sheep, young and good, and offer them up to your God, who spoke to Cain in the field. And I will speak to your brother to make to his God an offering of corn. See, Adam, after knowing this and observing how Cain and Abel was moving, he knew exactly what he was doing. He was like, Cain, you take an animal and bring it to your God, and I'm going to go tell Abel, go get some corn and take it to his God, showing you the differences between the two sacrifices. One God wants a bloody sacrifice, and one God wants a pure sacrifice. And that's the dilemma we have in the Bible. The two sacrifices against each other. You cannot sit here and watch this video and read this with me and then afterwards ignore it. No, let's build. All right. Verse 17, they both obeyed their father Adam, and they took their offerings and offered them up on the mountain by the altar. But Cain behaved haughtily towards his brother and shoved him from the altar and would not let him offer up his gift on the altar. But he offered his own on it with a proud heart full of guile and fraud. But as for Abel, he set up stones that were near at hand, and on that he offered up his gift with a heart humble and free from guile. Cain was then standing by the altar on which he had offered up this gift, and he cried to the Most High to accept this offering. But the Most High did not accept it from him, neither did a divine fire come down to consume his offering. But he remained standing over against the altar out of humor and meanness, looking towards his brother Abel to see if the Most High would accept his offering or not. Okay, check this out. And Abel prayed to the Most High to accept his offering. Then a divine fire came down and consumed his offering. And the Most High smelled the sweet savor or aroma that came from the fruits and grains. When you cook it, smell good too. You know what I'm saying? And because the Most High was well pleased with him, he sent him an angel of light in the figure of a man who had partaken of his offering, because he had smelled the sweet savor of his offering, and they comforted Abel and strengthened his heart. But Cain was looking on all that took place at his brother's offering and was angry because of it. Then he opened his mouth and blasphemed the Most High, because he had not accepted his offering. But the Most High said to Cain, why do you look sad? Right? So this is the same thing that's being said in Genesis chapter 4, verse 5 or 6, I believe, when the Most High asked Cain, why has your countenance fallen? Cain. Same thing. Why do you look sad? Be righteous, that I may accept your offering. Not against me have you murmured, but against yourself. And the Most High said this to Cain in rebuke, and because he abhorred him and his offering. And Cain came down from the altar, his color changed, and with a sad face, and came to his father and mother and told them all that had befallen him. And Adam grieved much because the Most High had not accepted Cain's offering. We're going to touch on that word grieve too. But Abel came down rejoicing and with a gladsome heart, and told his father and mother how the Most High had accepted his offering. And they rejoiced at it and kissed his face. And Abel said to his father, because Cain shoved me from the altar and would not allow me to offer my gift on it, I made an altar for myself and offered my gift on it. But when Adam heard this, he was very sorry, because it was the altar he had built at first, and on which he had offered his own gifts, frankincense, galbanum, stacked, the herbs and spices. As to Cain, he was so resentful and so angry that he went into the field, where Satan came to him and said to him, since your brother Abel has taken refuge with your father Adam, because you shoved him from the altar, they have kissed his face, and they rejoiced over him, far more than over you. When Cain heard these words of Satan, he was filled with rage, and he let no one know, but he was laying wait to kill his brother, until he brought him into the cave, and then said to him, watch how slick he was. And you got to think about it too. Cain was 15, 16 years old. Abel was like 11 or 12. So of course, he's naive. He's young. He's willing to get into anything, So check this out. Oh, brother, the country is so beautiful. There are such beautiful and pleasurable trees in it, and charming to look at. But brother, you have never been one day in the field to take your pleasure in that place. Today, oh my brother, I very much wish you would come with me into the field to enjoy yourself and to bless our fields and our flocks. For you are righteous, and I love you much, oh my brother. But you have alienated yourself from me. Then Abel consented to go with his brother Cain into the field. But before going out, Cain said to Abel, wait for me until I fetch a staff, because of wild beasts. Right? Those lions out there. Then Abel stood waiting in his innocence. But Cain, the forward, fetched a staff and went out. And they began, Cain and his brother Abel, to walk in the way, Cain talking to him and comforting him to make him forget everything. Now I could finish.
Alright, man, so there you go. You know what I'm saying? You see how Satan just really, had his eye on Cain. And then, approached him because he knew that Cain, would, he had, it was that resonance right there, that wicked resonance. So, so he led Cain to do some wicked stuff. So so Satan essentially was the god of Cain. You feel what I'm saying? Like the brother showed, clear as day. You feel what I'm saying? And we all know that. I mean, and then we even look at it, Cain was cursed from growing food. You know what I'm saying? He was cursed from even being able to till the soil of the ground. So we know this probably was a very bloodthirsty, murderous person, who really had no natural connection. So now, with all that being said, after that, men become wicked, you know what I'm saying? In the days of Noah and stuff like that, then you had the flood, and Babylon gets set up and everything like that. So what I want to do is I want to read this from sabbathcovenant.com, and there's some good information on this website. But right there, this is chapter 1, how the mystery religion was formulated. We're gonna get into Nimrod and the sun god Baal. Okay, so understand, like I say, regardless of the different cultural perspective these religions are coming from, it's all the same. So let's get into it. Nonetheless, it says the legacy of Nimrod, the sun god Baal. Okay, Nimrod worshipped the pagan sun god named Moloch. The title Great Hunter before in the face of Yahweh was ascribed to him because he literally hunted human beings to murder as sacrifices to his pagan god. This right here, hunter, tyrant, rebellion, you know what I'm saying? A rebel in the face of the Most High, that could be referring to. It says, in the book of Jasher. Now, we're going to come from the book of Jasher a lot. We're going to do a lot of research, so I need y'all to rock with me. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, it ain't going to be too much because the video already long, so I'm going to try to, you know, not make it too much. Say, in the book of Jasher is mentioned in the Bible in Joshua 10:13 and 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 18. We learn that Nimrod receives instruction from priests of Molech, priests of Baal, to marry his mother in an act of incest in order to acquire the third eye, or the all-seeing eye. The exact same knowledge sought by those who call themselves the Illuminati or illuminated ones. Those today who call themselves the Illuminati or illuminated ones, right? All-seeing eye of Lucifer, the light bearer. Alright, so now, check this out. It says in the book of Jasher, right? You can find this going on. So, what I need for somebody to do is please find that for me in the book of Jasher, because I tried to find it. I don't know if, you know, I didn't, I must have didn't come across it because I couldn't find it. You know what I'm saying? But if you can find that in them scripts, boy, that's gonna prove a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So somebody, you know, if you want some little homework, go do that. But we finna head to the book of Joshua real quick. We finna catch some Nimrod drop. Alright, so let's read this right here first. It said, the form of dark knowledge, right, is a counterfeit of the spirit of Hawa, right? So the form of dark knowledge is a counterfeit to the Ruach Kodesh, the Holy Spirit, the spirit of Hawa, the Creator, with a promise to see, right? Pay attention to that word see. You know what I'm saying? Into the spiritual realm. This dark knowledge is that knowledge imparted by the fallen angels, right? Yeah, it is. To mankind as described in the book of Enoch. So go get that. You know what I'm saying? But say Nimrod, the king, took a wife. The wife Nimrod chose was his mother. Okay? So the son became both the husband and son of the mother. In effect, making this marriage a trinity union in which much the husband was the same person as the son, united as one with the wife mother. Boy, understand what this is talking about. So Nimrod married his mother Semiramis, and she became the queen of Babylon. It was Semiramis, which from which the religion surrounded Nimrod and the planet's astrology evolved, right? Because he is what? Nimrod is. Okay. So, Nimrod, the mighty and ruthless murderer, was killed for his crimes against humanity by the sons of Noah. His body cut into pieces and distributed all over his kingdom by his enemies. Now, we talk about Nimrod. But doesn't this sound like somebody else? But we're going to get to that. Okay. So his body was cut into pieces and distributed all over his kingdom. In the face of Nimrod's death, Semiramis had to somehow maintain her grip and power over the people. In order to solidify her power, she invented a religion for the people that would keep Nimrod in control over them even after his death. She then gave birth to a son named Tammuz, his wicked mother, whom she claimed was the reincarnation of Nimrod. So through the belief that Tammuz was Nimrod in the flesh, the queen was able to subdue the people of Babylon. So Tammuz was Nimrod in the flesh and one with his father, who was one with his wife/mother through marriage. The unholy concept of a trinity is born. Okay, so let's dive into the book of Joshua. Alright, so we in the book of Joshua chapter 7, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we finna dig, man. We finna get into some reads, so I need y'all to rock with me. Hope I don't stumble too much, you know what I'm saying? So, we gonna start reading, let me see, about right here, right? We'll talk about, this is after the flood, right? It says, and hold on, let me get right here. It says, for after the death of Adam and his wife, the garments was given to Enoch, the son of Jared, and when Enoch was taken up to God, they were given to Methuselah, his son. It says, and at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them to the ark, and they were hid with him until he went out of the ark It says, and in their going out, Ham stole those garments from Noah his father. The same garments, right, passed down from Adam. He stole them from Noah his father, and he then hid. He took them and hid from his brothers. So he took the garments of Noah. That's why Noah cursed him, right, and cursed his son Canaan. You know what I'm saying? Like we say, he looked upon his nakedness because he took his garments. And when Ham begat his first son Cush, he gave him the garments in secret, and they were with Cush many days. Now it make me wonder, you know what I'm saying, if Satan ain't swindle his way into Ham, and you know what I'm saying, tell him to go, you know, steal that those garments, because we know those garments is a lot more to them. They're dealing with priesthood, kingship, rulership, things like that. You feel what I'm saying? So that could have been Satan's way to usurpate the garments, you know, the rulership of Adam to Ham, which he establishes in a pagan rite. You feel what I'm saying? So we're gonna continue to rock. It says, and Cush also concealed them from his brothers, and when Cush had begotten Nimrod, he gave him those garments through his love for him. And Nimrod grew up, and when he was 20 years old, he put on those garments. And Nimrod became strong when he put on the garments, and God gave him might and strength, and he was a mighty hunter in the earth. He was a mighty hunter in the field. Think about that. You know what Cain met Cain. Well, Cain met Satan. You know what I'm saying, in the field. And it said, and he hunted the animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them the animals before the Lord. Come on, man. Come on, man. Nimrod strengthened himself, and he rose up from amongst his brethren, and he fought battles of his brethren against all the enemies round about, and the Lord delivered all the enemies, which Lord, you feel what I'm saying, delivered all the enemies into of his brother in his hands, and God prospered him from time to time in his battles, and he reigned upon the earth. Therefore it became in those current days, when a man ushered forth those that had trained up for battle, he was saved, like God did Nimrod, who was a mighty hunter in the earth, who succeeded in his battles, that prevailed against his brethren, that he did deliver them from the hands of their enemies. So may God strengthen us and deliver us in this day. And when Nimrod was 40 years old, at that time there was a war between his brethren and the children of Japheth. Check that out. Now that's some deep stuff right there. They say, and they were in the power of his enemies. All right. So it said, and Nimrod went forth at that time, and he assembled all. Now check this out. This the drop. And Nimrod went forth at that time, and he assembled all the sons of Cush and their families, about 460 men, and he hired also from some of his friends and acquaintances about 80 men, and he gave them their hire, and he went with them to battle, and he was on the road. And when he was on the road, Nimrod strengthened the hearts of the people that went with him. All right. So he took all the sons of Cush, you know, all the families and stuff like that. But hold on, check this out. Let's say, okay, let's see what we want here. Okay, so we touching on the battles and stuff like that. But it says, while he was reigning according to his heart's desire, right? Not the way of the Most High, but his heart's desire. After having conquered all his enemies around, he advised with the counselors to build a city for his palace, right? And they did so. Okay. And they found a large valley opposite to the east, and they built him a large and extensive city. And Nimrod called the name of that city that he built Shinar, for the Lord had vehemently shaken his enemies and destroyed them. Nimrod dwelt in Shinar, he reigned securely, and he fought with his enemies and subdued them, and he prospered in all his battles, and his kingdom became very great. And all the nations and tongues heard of his fame, and they were gathered themselves to him. And they gathered themselves to him and bowed down to the earth. All right, so all nations and tongue heard of his fame, and they gathered themselves to him, and they bowed down to the earth, and they brought him offerings, and he became Lord and King, and they all dwelt with him in the city at Shinar. And Nimrod reigned in the earth over all the sons of Noah, and they were in the power of his counsel. So he's reigning over the whole world right now. Understand that, because when somebody has that type of power, it is very easy for pagans to make this person a god. You feel what I'm saying? But we're gonna, keep going. Say, and all the earth was one tongue, and all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. Okay, so understand that. So when these people are worshiping this particular pantheon and pagan religion, the whole earth is worshiping it. Then when it fall, they get scattered and get dispersed with different languages, but keeping the same religion that they brought with them from Babylon. You feel what I'm saying? Just keep that in mind. I say, but Nimrod did not go in the ways of the Lord, but he was more wicked than all the men that were before him. Bam. From the days of the flood unto those days. So who you think looking at this joker, seeing his servant down there being wicked and is very pleased with it? Yeah, Satan. You feel what I'm saying? Saying he made gods of wood and stone, and he bowed to them, and they rebelled against the Lord, and he taught all his subjects and all the people of the earth his wicked ways. Right? And Mardon, his son, was more wicked than his father. Right? And everyone that heard of the acts of Mardon, the son of Nimrod, would say concerning him, from wickedness goeth forth wickedness. Therefore it became a proverb in the whole earth, saying, from the wicked goeth forth the wickedness. And it was current in the words of men from that time to this. So, that's the saying people still say, and it come from this story. Now, I'm going to tell you this right here, and I'm going to drop this on you, and you do your own, whatever. But I was looking at this Mardon character, right? Not sure if this is the Tammuz or not, but I know one thing. What I found was this person is where the story of Jacob come from, the mad scientist who genetically engineered this species of hybrids. And that's all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna leave that on y'all. You do your research and whatnot. Hey, I'm gone. Anyways, moving on. Know what I'm saying? So we got some information right here, so we're gonna keep going. Okay, man. So in this chapter right here, in chapter 8, right, we were just in chapter 7, but in chapter 8 we see now Abram is born, right, after all that goes on unto Terah. You know what I'm saying? And now check this out. What you have here in the book of Joshua chapter 8 is the same story of Herod, right? And Jesus, right? When Herod seen the signs come of the coming Jesus and wanted to kill him. Right here, you got the same story with Nimrod seeing, the signs coming of Abram, our forefather. You feel what I'm saying? And wanted to kill him because he was prophesied to reign and rule. His seed was going to be, was going to be kings and stuff like that. So you can just see the parallels. That's why I say, man, Babylon is all up in this joke. But so so he wants Terah to bring his son. Terah ain't, really, he hit him with a parable to make him really see like you asking me some real flute gazer stuff right now. So the king get mad, but then you tell him like, you make a, but he a servant, so you tell him, it is what it is. And so they arrange something to bring Abram, but Terah hides Abram, you know what I'm saying, and brings another baby, you know what I'm saying, but I don't think it was Abram. Or if it was, the king didn't kill Abram when he threw the child on the ground, like I said right here, dashed his head to the ground, it didn't kill him. You feel what I'm saying? For this was the will of providence. That's some powerful stuff. Y'all catch this drop. I'm just moving fast. I know this video long. You know what I'm saying? So so Abram was still alive, and Abram was still able to grow up and be powerful, right? Because he grew up in the cave. See that? The Lord was with Abram in the cave. He grew up, and Abram was in the cave 10 years, right? Because Terah took Abram, his son, secretly together with his mother and nurse, and he concealed them in the cave. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now we in chapter 9, and what this is talking about here is Abram, right, was growing up, to be waxed and wise to wisdom. He is dwelling in the tents of in the caves with Noah and his son Shem. Shem is Melchizedek, is Adonizedek, the king of Salem as well. You see what I'm saying? So he's learning the precepts of righteousness from from Noah and Shem, right? Now his father Terah, who is a captain or chief under the rule of Nimrod, who was reigning over the whole earth. So Terah was pretty up there. They were making these pagan gods. You feel what I'm saying? And Abram was looking at what his father was doing and wasn't really rocking with him. But it's interesting what Abram say right here. You know what I'm saying? In verse 12, or verse 13. But check out, I'm gonna read from verse 11. It say, and Abram the son of Terah was waxing great in those days in the house of Noah, and no man knew it, and the Lord was with him. It said, and the Lord gave Abram an understanding heart. He knew all the works of that generation were vain, and that all their gods were vain and were of no avail. And check this out, right? Verse 13. And Abram saw the sun shining upon the earth. Man, listen. Pay attention. And Abram saw the sun shining upon the earth, and Abram said to himself, surely now this sun that shines upon the earth is God, and him will I serve. Right? And Abram served the sun in that day, and he prayed to him. And when the evening came, the sun set as usual, and Abram said within himself, surely this cannot be God. What these scriptures so real, dog? These scriptures so real, man, 'cause we got a lot of people in the community who want to worship the creation and not the creator. But not understanding the connection and the link. But I'm saying, just say, oh, that's the sun, that's God. No, but not understanding that that's the sun that was created by the creator to empower us. But it is by the hand of the creator that is even in the sky doing that. So we serve the creator, not the host of heaven, right? The celestial bodies, stuff like that, and the gods who come from them and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? But check out what our forefather said, boy. He dropped it on us. You know what I'm saying? And that right there can go a long way. Like he say, he looked at the sun and said, okay, if this is sun, this providing everything, it shines on us and nourishes us. Okay, well, this is God. But once he paid attention, once he served it every day, he said, surely this cannot be the creator of the heavens and the earth. He said, and Abram still continued to speak within himself, who is he that made the heavens and the earth? You feel what I'm saying? Who created upon the earth? Where is he? That's who I want to know. That's who I want to serve. You feel what I'm saying? Where he at? He said, at night darkened over him, and he lifted his eyes toward the west, north, south, and east, and he saw that the sun had vanished from the earth, and the day had become dark. And Abram saw the stars and the moon before him, and he said, surely this is the God who created the heavens and the earth, the whole earth as well as a man. You see what I'm saying? And behold, these his servants are gods around him. And Abram served the moon and prayed to it all night. So now he's looking at the moon and the stars and like, okay, right? He's like, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the moon, okay, and the stars are around it. So the stars must be the gods that serve the moon. So I'm going to pray, to the moon and the stars. You feel what I'm saying now? It's almost like he's naming all the pagan religions, boy. Moon and star and crescent and star, whatever, however you want to look at it. He telling you, boy, this is not the way. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, he say, right, so he said he prayed to the moon, he served the moon and prayed to it all night. And when the morning it was light and the sun shone upon the earth as usual, and Abram saw all the things that the Lord God had made upon the earth. And Abram said to himself, surely these are not gods that made the earth and all mankind, but these are servants of God, right? The celestial bodies are servants of the Creator. And Abram remained in the house of Noah, and there he knew that the Lord and his ways, and he served the Lord all the days of his life, and all that generation forgot the Lord. See what I'm saying? And served other gods, wood and stone, and rebelled all their days. Alright? Okay, so continuing on. And rebelled all their days. And King Nimrod reigned securely, and all the earth was under his control, right? All the earth was under the control of a wicked king, everybody. except for a certain few, right? That was coming from this direct line that Abraham came from. But he went back and studied from Noah and Shem. It says, and all the earth was of one tongue and of words of union. And all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together, put Mizraim, Cush, and Canaan with their families. And they said to each other, come, let us build ourselves a city, and a strong tower is top reaching the heavens, and we will make ourselves famed, that we may reign upon the whole earth, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us, that we may reign over them, and that we may not be scattered over the earth on account of their war. So check this out now. Nimrod is getting confederate with all the sons of Ham to reign upon the earth. You see what I'm saying? To establish their usurpation, because Cain has now took the garments of the priesthood and the kingship and the rulership of the planet. Now his sons are confederate together to establish this wicked pagan empire, right? This wicked pagan nation in the face of the Creator. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so, and then we all know, right, that by them doing this and building this thing, that the Most High brought it down, and he scattered them, and you know what I'm saying, and confounded their languages, right? And therefore he called that place Babel, for the Lord confounded the language of the whole earth, and he scattered them abroad, right? So so we're gonna go into the next chapter. Okay, so over here at chapter 10, now we're looking at the scattering, right? But it's crazy that after that temple is being built, like I said in one of my other videos, the next chapter you're dealing with Peleg, right? And so it said, and when the Lord had scattered the sons of men on account to their sin at the tower, behold, they spread forth into many divisions. All the sons of men were dispersed into four corners of the earth, into the four corners of the earth. Okay. So, and all the families became each according to its language, its land, or its city. You see what I'm saying? So, they separated themselves according to their ways, their customs. You see what I'm saying? Their beliefs, but they were still bringing with them the stuff from where they had just came, because it was all that they knew. You see what I'm saying? So the, you know, you have some of your, you know, the sons of Japhet, right? I remember the sister referring to Gomer, right, being, I think, related to the Germans. But I know right here you got Frankum, right, in the land of Frenza. So we know what that could possibly be talking about. But what I want to jump down to, though, is the, also, right, Chittim, right, we've heard Chittim being referred to Italy, right, are the Romine, right? So the sons of Japhet, right, that like the sister was talking about the Ephah measure. You know what I'm saying? And the sons of Japhet. But what I want to do is I want to skip down right here in the children of Ham, where Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, all the ones who was confederate together to even build the temple. And these went and built themselves a city and found fit places for them, and they called their cities after the names of their father, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And the children of Mizraim are these folk, and they 7 families. They say, all these dwelled by the river Sihon. This is the brook of Egypt. And they built themselves cities and called them after their own name. So understand that they none left Babel, right, under the rule of Nimrod, and then came into the brook of Egypt and dwelt there. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like, what if this, or you know, this place that Nimrod ruling, boy, it could possibly be Atlantis. You know what I'm saying? I'm just building. We just, you know, just theorizing, because it almost sounds like, you know, with Thoth and the Emerald Tablets, when Thoth, when Atlantis fell, he went and took, you know what I'm saying, set up something in the land of the children of Ham, right? Which is the new Egypt, which is the Egypt that everybody know now. So, you know, just putting certain things into perspective. You know what I mean? And we see that Canaan, right? In Canaan, you have the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, these are just their lineages and some of the cities they set up and stuff like that. But we can see that these particular cities were set up once they had been dispersed from that mother city, right? That mother empire, they were dispersed and they set up all these different little, languages, customs, and religion according to how they had been scattered, and confounded. But they kept the same customs and religions. They were just speaking different languages. Okay, so in chapter 11 we read that Nimrod and the son of Cush was still in the land of Shinar, right? And he reigned over it and dwelt there, and he built cities in the land of Shinar. And these are the name of the 4 cities he built. The names according to the building of the tower. The first he called Babel, saying because the Lord, confounded the language of the whole earth. And the name of the second he called Eric, because God had dispersed them. All right. So and then you got Eked, was the great battle in that place, and then Kalna, because the princes and mighty men were consumed there, right? And they vexed the Lord, and they rebelled and transgressed against him. Okay. So you got Nimrod trying to reestablish his kingdom here. It says, and notwithstanding this, Nimrod did not return to the Lord, and he continued in wickedness and teaching wickedness to the sons of men. And Murdon his son was worse than his father, and continued to add to the abominations of his father. And he caused the sons of men to sin. Bam. Therefore it is said, from the wicked goeth forth wickedness. So I'm saying, judge a tree by its fruit. At that time, there was war between the families of Ham, as they were dwelling in the cities which they built. Okay, so so now what you got here is Abraham, right? Now he's in his father's office. He's around his father, and he's seeing all the wood and the pagan things that his father has set up, right? He know it is wrong, and he's telling his father, like, is this not the same stuff? You know what I'm saying? That got us in. That made the flood happen, right? That crushed our first civilization. You guys are doing the same stuff, right? Why won't you come from it? So you know what I'm saying? It's a whole story, man. It's very interesting. It adds perspective. So I advise you go catch it. You know what I'm saying, with Abram and how he was you know what I'm saying, he set out sacrifices and food for the god of the stones, you know what I'm saying, the wooden gods and stuff like that, and he was just showing how they were powerless, you know what I'm saying. And so then they tried to arrest Abram and stuff like that, and put him in the fire, almost like in the book of Daniel, you know what I'm saying. So there's a lot of parallels, like I say, there's nothing new under the sun. There's a lot of cycles, a lot of stuff being, events rehappening and things like that. But you know what I'm saying, your boy Abram go in the fire and don't even get burned and come out basically as a god, right? And he leaves Babylon, you feel what I'm saying, and goes into Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Because he's leaving Babylon, putting all the wickedness and stuff like that behind him. You know what I'm saying? And he's coming into he's leaving and he's going into a land of which is the Most High is about to promise him, right? Because he's established him as his seed, the one who has been fortified by God and who has fought for righteousness. Okay, so in chapter 13, you see Terah, Abram, and all his family, right? All the souls that was of his household went with them from Ur Kasdim to go into the land of Canaan. Alright, so you know what I'm saying, you got this right here. And let me see something real quick. I just want to see if it said. I thought it was said. But anyway, you got them coming through the land of Canaan and everything like that, as they make their way to Egypt. Alright, so I want to come back to this article. Alright, and I want to read this paragraph right here real quick. Okay, so the Babylonian Empire was the first attempt at a one-world government, right? Or New World Order. This human attempt at global governance through the use of dark knowledge, astrology, and pagan god worship was an abomination to Hawa. The Tower of Babel was a tower built to reach up to Hawa, but rather as a massive structure from which to consult the stars through the use of astrology and communication with the sun, Baal, right? Hawa intervened and confused the speech of the people, of the earth and scattered them abroad. With the migration of the people coming out of Babylon, the sun worship religion of Babylon was scattered throughout the earth. You see what I'm saying? With the migration of the people coming out of Babylon, the sun worshiping religion of Babylon was scattered throughout the earth, and the names changed, but the religion remained the same. The names changed, but the religion remained the same. Since the languages now were confused and the names of Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz were changed and continued to change over time based on culture and language, although the names changed, the religion remained exactly the same. Semiramis, however, became known as the Queen of Heaven amongst all the cultures and worshipped as the primary head of this false religion. Even the children of Israel fell into worship of Semiramis, the Queen of Heaven, and Hawa sent them the prophet Jeremiah with the following warning, right? Jeremiah 44:17, right? When, you know what I'm saying, catch that. But I just want to read that, right? The Babylonian Empire was the first attempt at a one world government. You see what I'm saying? And then the migration of the people or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And how the religions remained the same, although the names and everything changed. Okay? But it was still the people migrated coming out of Babylon. The sun worshiping religion was carried with them. All right. Now keep all that in mind. Now that this sun worshiping religion comes from this dude Nimrod, right? Who was ruling over the whole earth, who was basically Satan's minion on the earth. You know what I'm saying? Ruling it for him. He was probably a Gibberim. Or some people like to say he had Nephilim blood and things like that and this and that. So you know, telling who this man was. You know what I'm saying? But he was ruling over the whole earth. So pagans would definitely consider this man a god, especially people who don't have the Creator and the covenant of Hawa with them. So what I want to do is, you know, right here when they said that let me see. His body was cut into pieces and distributed over his kingdom. We know who that sounds like, right? But keep in mind that we're dealing with Nimrod right now, you know what I'm saying, in this sun worshiping cult. But you see what it sounds like. Now let's go back to the book of Jasher. Okay, before I even go there, man, what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and get it right here, right? Osiris, right? We notice this was an Egyptian god, right? Through the sources state his father is the sun god Ra. Okay, so understand that this how this old pantheon goes. Now, it said Osiris was considered the brother of Horus and Horus. Okay. But now check this out. When we go to the mythology, right? The cult of Osiris was a god chiefly of regeneration and rebirth. He had particularly the concepts of immortality. Right. His wife was Isis, who was Het Heru, right? Hathor, you know what I'm saying? I think she's also called Nut, but that's Ashtaroth, that's Ishtar. You see what I'm saying? So in one version of the myth, she used a spell she learned from her father to bring and brought him back to life, where he could impregnate her. Afterwards, he died again, and she hid his body in the desert. Months later, she gave birth to Horus, while she raised Horus, setting hunting one night, and came across the body of Osiris. Alright, so say, enraged, he tore the body into 14 pieces and scattered them throughout the land. Isis gathered all the parts of his body except the penis, which had been eaten by a fish. Oh, so the genetic container, right? You know what I'm saying? The gene disperser is now being eaten by a fish. And now we have people with, I ain't even do it. Anyways, you know what I'm saying, for a probability and everything. But okay. But you know, I just read that to show you that Osiris has the same mythology that Nimrod has, right? With his body being cut into pieces and distributed all over his kingdom. Alright, so coming back over here to the book of Jasher, chapter 14. Continuing off where we left off, this right here is going to be a very important point. Okay? It says, we just go ahead and get into it. I mean, we got to read this. It says, in those days there was in the land of Shinar a wise man who had understanding in all wisdom and of beautiful appearance, but he was poor and indignant. And his name was Rikayon. Okay? Rikayon. And he was hard set to support himself. So he was, he was hell bent on self-sufficiency and to support himself and to raise himself and to display his wisdom. Now, like I said, in those days in the land of Shinar, so where Babylon and Samaria was, came this man named Raquan, who had understanding in all wisdom, right? And it was a beautiful appearance. Okay, and he was hard set to support himself. And he resolved to go to Egypt, to Osiris, the son of Anom, king of Egypt, to show the king his wisdom, for perhaps he might find grace in his sight, to raise him up and to give him maintenance. And Rikayon did so. So now check this out. You got this man who is wax wise in wisdom and understanding and of beautiful appearance, coming from the land of Samaria, Shinar, Mesopotamia, to the land of Egypt to show the king Osiris his wisdom. All right, let's keep going. Say, when Raycon came to Egypt, he asked the inhabitants of Egypt concerning the king, and the inhabitants of Egypt told him the custom of the king, for it was the custom of the king that he went out from his royal palace and be seen abroad one day in the year, and after the king would return from his palace to remain there. Okay. All right. So, and on that day when the king went forth, he passed judgment in the land, and everyone having a suit came before the king to obtain this request. And when Requion heard the custom in Egypt, that he could come into the presence of the king, he grieved greatly and was sorrowful. Or that he could not come into the presence of the king, he grieved greatly and was very sorrowful. And in the evening, Requion went out to find a house in the ruins, formerly a bakehouse in Egypt, and he abode there all night in bitterness of his soul and in hunger, and with hunger, and sleep was removed from his eyes. Okay, so now, he meets some men, you know what I'm saying, and some people or whatnot, and they were trying to, I think they wasn't really too, friendly with him, but then he ended up, gathering them together on one consent, right, to basically hold up this cemetery and tell the people that they cannot bury in the cemetery unless they bring silver and gold. Okay, so then the people start hearing about this because the dude started getting rich. You feel what I'm saying? And so the priest and the servants of the king went to go tell the king. You know what I'm saying? So they may the king live forever. What is this thing that thou doest in the town of thy servants, not to suffer a dead body to be buried until so much silver and gold be given? Was there ever like unto this done in the whole earth from the days of the former king, say even from the days of Adam unto this day, that the dead should not be buried only for a set price? We know it to be the custom of kings to take a yearly tax from the living, but thou dost not only do this, but from the dead also thou exact a tax day by day. Boy, some powerful stuff in here. All right, so now, O king, we can no more bear this, for the whole city is in ruin on this account, and does not know it. And when the king heard all that he had spoken, he was very wroth, and his anger was buried with him at this affair, for he had known nothing of it. And the king said, Who and where is he that dares do this wicked thing in my land without my command? Surely you would tell me. And they told him all the works of Rikayon and his men, and the king's anger was aroused, and he ordered Rikayon and his men to be brought before him. And Rikayon took about 1,000 children, sons and daughters, and clothed them in silk and embroidery, and he set them upon horses, and set them to the king by means of his men. And he took a great quantity of silver and gold and precious stones, and a strong beautiful horse, and presented it before the king, which he came before with which he came before the king and bowed down to the earth before him. And the king and his servants and all the inhabitants of Egypt wondered at the work of Rikayon, and they saw his riches and the present that he had set before the king. And it greatly pleased the king, and he wondered at it. And when Rikayon sat before him, the king asked him concerning of all his works. And Rikayon spoke all his words wisely before the king, his servants, and the inhabitants of Egypt. And the king heard Rikayon, the words of Rikayon and his wisdom, Rikayon found grace in his sight, and he met with grace and he met with grace and kindness from all the servants of the king and from all the inhabitants of Egypt, on account of his wisdom and excellent speeches. And from that time they loved him exceedingly. And the king answered and said to Rikayon, Thy name shall be no more called Rikayon, but Pharaoh. But Pharaoh shall be thy name, since thou did exact a tax from the dead. He shall call his name Pharaoh. And the king and his subjects loved Rikayon for all his wisdom, and they consulted with the inhabitants of Egypt to make him perfect under the king. And all the inhabitants of Egypt and his wise men did so, and it was made law in Egypt. Okay, and they made Rikayon Pharaoh perfect under Osiris, the king of Egypt. And Rikayon Pharaoh governed over Egypt, daily administering justice to the whole city. But Osiris the king would judge the people of the land one day in the year, and he went out to make his appearance. And Rikayon Pharaoh cunningly usurped the government of Egypt, and he exacted a tax from all the inhabitants of Egypt. And all the inhabitants of Egypt greatly loved Rikayon Pharaoh, and they made a decree to call every king that should reign over them and their seed in Egypt Pharaoh. Therefore all the kings that reigned in Egypt from that time forward were called Pharaoh unto this day. Listen, I read that right there to show you, you can tell all these Egyptologists and these commissions that Egypt is not shit without Samaria and Babylon. The same city, this wicked city that is oppressing you right now, it's the same. It comes from the same origin as what you people are trying to, you know what I'm saying, instill into the minds of the people. Like, that don't make sense. You see what I'm saying? Look at this. In the days was a man from the land of Shinar. So a dude came from Babylon who was waxed in all the wisdom, you know, and understanding of the Sumerians. He came to Egypt to Osiris, the king, who could have been an emperor, probably could have been Nimrod. You feel what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? To be set as Pharaoh over Egypt. So even the Pharaoh of Egypt, who had all the wisdom and the great knowledge and counsel, came from Babylon, right? Came from Babel, came from Samaria, Mesopotamia, just like Abraham came from Ur. He came from Chaldea, right? So he came with his wisdom and his knowledge, basically, as a king and as a god from those places to Egypt. So everything that Egypt composes of, it composes of people from Samaria. You feel what I'm saying? And Babylon, Chaldea, right there. Pharaoh, even to be a pharaoh, comes from Babylon. So why are you sitting up here trying to enforce Babylonian, you know what I'm saying, knowledge and customs into the mind of the people? This is the same wicked society that fought against God and is oppressing our people right now. And these Masons, these sons, these mother sons are trying to keep you in that same, you know what I'm saying, that same sun worshiping, mother son religion. You feel what I'm saying? That came out of Samaria, that came out of Nimrod, which probably was Atlantis. You feel what I'm saying? That keeps the children of righteousness, right? The children of righteousness in opposition to their divine covenant and the Creator, because these people are in defiance, right? They're in defiance with the Father. So, you know what I'm saying? So from chapter 14, where you see that a Chaldean, a Sumerian, right, from Babel, from the land of Shinar, has came over into Egypt and has reigned with his wisdom, being called Pharaoh. You see what I'm saying? You see that now Abram comes in the land, right? And he meets Pharaoh, which probably is the same person that came from Chaldea and Samaria in the first place. But now he meets Pharaoh, and this is where you have the story of Abraham first coming into Egypt, things like that, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you know, that Pharaoh gave him his daughter, Hagar, right? You know what I'm saying? So, let's get back and we're going to keep on building. All right, so continuing on, it says the following statue was originally a statue of Isis holding Horus, the Roman names for Semiramis holding her son Tammuz, okay, the later known Madonna child, and today this statue stands having been renamed Mary and Jesus, the latest incarnation of Semiramis and Tammuz. Okay, right? The latest incarnation of Semiramis Tammuz. See, that's what you got to understand. It's all about the incarnation of this particular wicked paganism religion, right? See, that's why Egyptians be like, oh well, the story of Jesus and Mary is the story of Horus and Isis. That was written on Egypt, you know what I'm saying, thousands of years before the Bible was written, to try to discredit the Bible. Like, no, nigga, it's the same paganism, nigga. Mary and Jesus is just a later incarnation of that same paganism. Because I'm gonna show you one right before that. Okay, but we gonna come back to that. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, no, we ain't. We're gonna do it right now. All right, so we're gonna come over here to the book of Joshua, chapter 21, and we're gonna read about Ishmael, right? Ishmael, right, the son of Abraham, that did not receive the covenant, right? So he did not receive the covenant for his father, from the father, right, from the Creator, right, and his biological father. He was cast out. So this is a continuation of this concept of these mother sons, right? And how Satan establishes them. But I'm going to show you that, right? So let's see. Okay, we'll say, well, God was with the son, and God was with Ishmael, the son of Abraham, and he grew up and he learned to use the bow and he became an archer, right? Okay, so it said, and Ishmael came to Isaac and seated himself opposite to him, and he took the bow. Right, let me read this right quick. And Isaac was 5 years old when he was sitting with Ishmael at the door of the tent. And Ishmael came to Isaac and seated himself opposite to him, and he took the bow and drew it and put an arrow in it and intended to slay Isaac. Okay, so look at this wicked shit right here. You feel what I'm saying? And Sarah saw the act which Ishmael desired to do to her son Isaac, and it grieved her exceedingly on account of her son. And she sent for Abram and said, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for her son shall not be heir with my son, for thou didst seek to do unto him this day. Okay, so you know what I'm saying. So that's when Abraham had to cast out you know what I'm saying, Hagar and Ishmael, right? Now Sarah, she caught Ishmael trying to kill Isaac, right? Trying to kill his little brother, just like Cain and Abel, right? Cain trying to kill Abel. You feel what I'm saying? Now, guess who else would see this act? Satan, right? You feel what I'm saying? So we can see what happened once this happened. Ishmael and Hagar was cast out. Now let's see what happened when they were cast out. Okay, so now I'm gonna take you over here to the book of Joshua, chapter 16. When it was talking about the, you know what I'm saying, it's talking about the same thing. Right, she bare no children. She took a handmaid, Hagar, whom Pharaoh had given her, right? Okay. So, when Sarah saw that Hagar had conceived by Abram, she was jealous of the handmaid, and Sarah said within herself, there is surely nothing else but that she must be better than I. And Sarah said unto Abram, my wrong be upon me, for at the time when thou dost pray before the Lord for thy children, why does that not pray on my account? And the Lord should give me seed for thee. Okay. And when I speak to Hagar in my prayer, she despises my word, because she hath conceived, and thou wilt say nothing to her. May the Lord judge between me and thee for what thou hast done. Okay, and Abram said to Sarah, behold, thy handmaid is in thy hand, do unto her what seemed good in thy eyes. And Sarah afflicted her, and Hagar fled from her to the wilderness. Now check this out. Now, right, she went to the wilderness, and it says, and an angel of the Lord, right? So an angel of the Lord found her in the place where she fled by a well. And he said to her, do not fear, for okay, this angel of the Lord. And now remember, Satan transformeth himself to an angel of light. So he said, do not fear, for I will multiply thy seed, and thou shalt bear a son, and thou shalt call his name Ishmael. And now then return to Sarah thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. Okay, so check this out. Hagar called the place of that well Beer Roy, right? It is between Kadesh and the wilderness of Bered. So now understand something. Hagar has fled, right? And in the, she has fled, right? In the wilderness, this angel finds her and tells her, that I will establish your son, and I will multiply his seed and make him a great nation, right? So don't fear, his name shall be called Ishmael. So then with that, she then goes back, right? Now let's go to the King James real quick. Okay, so she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. So we know Hagar is the Egyptian, right? She's Egyptian. Okay, now she has the son Ishmael, who's the progenitor of supposedly the Arabs, right? Certain Arab nation. Okay. But we didn't even know that name really means mixed mongrel itself. So, there's no telling who's all hiding under that umbrella of error. So it says, and he will be a wild man, right? Now, understand something, okay? It says, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child. Okay, let me go up a little bit. They say, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, and it shall be numbered for a multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. Right? He will be a wild man, and his hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Okay. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, thou God seest me. For she said, have I also here looked after him that sees me. Okay. Have I also here looked after him that sees me. And wherefore the well was called Beer Lahai, between it is Kadesh and Bered. All right. So now we got this angel of the Lord who then came down, right, and then established her son with a whole nother covenant, right, with this covenant that was given to Ishmael. Okay. Now Hagar calls this God. She calls him, thou God seest me. For she said, have I also here looked after him that seest me. Okay. So now, when you go into King James and the Strong's Concordance, and we look at this word see, let's see what, right? Seest, Roy, right? So this is the God that seest me. We should call it Roy. But we also know that the word for see, just see in Hebrew, let's see if we can get it. Okay, just going right here for the word see, right? Therefore it shall come to pass when the Egyptians, right? The Egyptians shall see thee. Okay, check this out. The word see, to see, in Hebrew is Ra. Okay, Ra. So Hagar, right, is in the wilderness, saying that this God that seest her, right? Like she said, where is it? Let me get it for you. Right? Thou God seest me. right? How have I looked after him that seeth me? So this God that seen her in the wilderness, right? She called Ra, which is Ra, the God that seeth me. Now what also is Ra? We know. Okay, so what comes with Ra? We know that the eye of Ra comes with Ra, right? The eye. So Ra is also the sun god, which is also symbolic to the eye in the sky, right? That's watching over everything, right? That sees people. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, but now when you understand this eye of Ra, it's not just also talking about, you feel what I'm saying, the sun and the eye. It's also something deeper too. It says the eye of Ra, or the eye of Re, is a being in ancient Egyptian mythology that functions as a feminine counterpart to the sun god Ra. So his eye, the eye of Ra, is actually the feminine counterpart. You feel what I'm saying? Which can be personified by a wide variety of Egyptian goddesses, including Hathor, who is Het Heru, right? The mother of Horus, which is Isis. You see what I'm saying? So the mother of the sun god is the eye, right? The eye of Ra. That's the apple of his eye, right? So he looks down and he sees Ishmael's mother. You feel what I'm saying? He sees her and she calls him Ra, right? She now is the eye of Ra. She is Het Heru, Hathor, or Hagar, right? She now gives birth to Ishmael, which is the next inheritor to the son covenant. Which is why I'm going to read this part right here again. The following statue was originally a statue is of Isis holding Horus, the Roman name for Semiramis holding her son Tammuz, and later as Madonna/child, and today this statue has been renamed Mary and Jesus. You see what I'm saying? The latest incarnation of Semiramis and Tammuz. You see what I'm saying? Because it's the same wicked paganism, you know what I'm saying, that Satan instilled from the beginning. This concept that came out of Babylon, right, from Nimrod, the personification of Satan's rule in the earth. It only has transpired via different cultures and languages, but it is all the same. And Ishmael and Hagar, right, carried that into Egypt and became the reincarnation of this. You feel what I'm saying? Because we know that Hagar went back into Egypt. Ishmael had Ishmaelite wives. We know Ishmael was going to be a great nation with 12 princes. You feel what I'm saying? So understand how this wicked, how Satan, right, the all-seeing eye of Satan, you feel what I'm saying, of Lucifer, would come and establish, you know what I'm saying, these pagans, right, with a promise to see into the spiritual realm. This dark knowledge is that dark knowledge imparted by the fallen angel. You see what I'm saying? That's why the priest of Baal, or Satan, the Molech, or the fallen angel, told Nimrod to marry his mother in an act of incest in order to acquire the third eye, or the all-seeing eye. He was then personified as Ra, the sun god that made it with his mother, and the son came out as Horus, the incarnation of the sun god. Understand, man, listen, this is all Babylonian paganism, right? And then the eye of Ra, the seeing one, is what? Hathor, right? Which is the wicked, you know what I'm saying? Which is the personification and the glorification of the feminine principle, right? The Milky Way, the womb, the galaxy, the matrix. So understand, these societies in their Babylonian paganisms is what sparks practices like the worship of Baal Peor in the wilderness, to where the children of Israel begin glorifying the feminine principle. You feel what I'm saying? Now you got people, you know what I'm saying, talking about the black woman as God. I mean, we know that Adam named her God. He named her Hawa. He named her, right, a creator, because she was the mother of all living. We know that much. You see what I'm saying? But Adam named her that. So you can't take no power away from Adam. He gave her that name. You feel what I'm saying? So understand, it's all about the balance and the unity. These people are going to get you into Baal Peor worship, the sun god worship. You see what I'm saying? And the glorification of the female body and her principles. You see what I'm saying? With this Ma son worship. Because the father is not in the picture. You see what I'm saying? Ishmael was casted out by his father, didn't receive the covenant of the heavenly father. Esau was cast out by his father, didn't receive the covenant of the heavenly father. You feel what I'm saying? They became confederate to give you see what I'm saying, your religion, to keep you in bondage and in contradiction to the covenant and keep you subjected to the curses. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why we got to kill all that Egyptite commission, all this, you know what I'm saying? The universes, the mother, and worshiping all that stuff in the celestial bodies. Leave it alone. We need to come on one accord with the laws of nature and the creator of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the plane and the universe, you know what I'm saying, in the earth and things like that. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, and not I'm saying, dealing with what these Masons, these Masons are trying to lead our people into this feminine Mason worship. You know what I'm saying? And you even got sisters, man. It's sisters down, I think they in Mesoamerica somewhere, but they telling people that God is a woman. You know, a woman will sit on the throne of King David. That God's name is actually Ashah. You feel me? And my brother Natural by Law showed you, dog, bro, that the word Ashah is literally the Hebrew word for woman. So you're worshiping a woman. This is Baal Peor worship that the children of Israel go into in the wilderness, dog. And our fathers does not, he don't like that. He does not give us the sovereign establishment that we need as a tribe. When we engage in stuff like that, we have to come back into order and balance. You feel what I'm saying? Can't be no, the black woman is God and this and that, because you're going to end up glorifying the principle of the female body part, and you're going to end up falling in all kind of licentious acts. You feel what I'm saying? That the Most High does not like. So, you know, it would be wise, dog, that we keep away from these pagan and these Masonic and these Babylonian religions, you know what I'm saying, that are not dealing with the laws of nature. You feel what I'm saying? But are glorifying and personifying certain aspects of nature and putting them as objects of worship above the Creator. Alright, man. So, you know, I actually think I want to end right there, man. I had so much more to share with you guys. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, this video is during the 3 hours long, and I know that's going to be a problem for a lot of people. But, you know, I'm going to skim through it, you know, and just, you know, I'm going to try to leave these in the description box. I always say that, but I always forget. So I'm going to try to do that. But right here it says, together Semiramis and Nimrod, and the bastard son of Semiramis named Tammuz, started this occult religion of sacrificing babies to Molech, aka Satan, or the false pagan sun god. Nimrod means tyrant, as he led the Babylonians to pay tribute to their skies, the moon, the sun, moon, stars, and planets. The same thing that our father Abraham was acknowledging as just servants and not the Most High. You see what I'm saying? With the sacrifices of their children. The Tower of Babel, which was built for this purposes, among other, was echoed in other cultures such as the Egyptians, Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans, in the form of pyramid structures, all aligned with the sun and all built for the same purpose of as the Tower of Babel, to have that celestial body alignment and communication with these fallen ones. That's why the sister Israel Redemption told you, wherever you see pyramids, that marks the spot of the fallen. You feel what I'm saying? It says this picture above is a depiction of children being sacrificed to the two-horned god Molech, Satan, the horned god. Was we not just built? I mean, come on, man. Stay away from the paganism, please. Okay, so, man, y'all got to catch all this, man. Religion of Semiramis, the moon god Ishtar, right? We celebrating Easter, man. It is all Babylonian paganism, right? Legend of Tammuz, you know what I'm saying? Y'all catch that. Right, he became one with his father, the sun god Baal. Now think about Mary and Jesus, right? Okay, which is what I was going to bring. I had this right here. I think I'm gonna read a little bit. Y'all chilling with me, right? Y'all good, right? I know it's long, but you know, shit, it's a classroom. You know what I'm saying? So Semiramis became known as the fertility goddess Ishtar. She took on many names in different cultures, including Isis, Diana, Astarte, Ishtar, Aphrodite, Venus, and Easter. She was identified with Mary as Mary was falsely deified and took on the titles Mother of God and Queen of Heaven, right? Now I remember I was passing by a church that said Mother Mary, Queen of Heaven, Baptist church or something like that, you know, Protestant church, something, man. It was some big church, you know. It wasn't a black, you know, it wasn't a black folks church, Not that matter, but I'm just letting you know, it was from the same, Babylonian pagans who religion this sprouted from. So it really ain't even surprised me. They say her son Tammuz took on many names as well, such as Horus, Apollo, Sol, Krishna, Hercules, Mithra, and finally Jesus. The name Jesus H. Christ is in fact originated by Constantine as Jesus Horus Krishna. Evolved into Jesus H. Christ over the years. All the names of Tammuz put together for the son of the sun god and members of the Trinity worship on Sunday, the day of his sun god. We will get into that in greater detail later in this book series. Semiramis instituted a holy day in her Babylonian religion in honor of the supposed death/resurrection of her son Tammuz. Below this is a picture of Semiramis and Tammuz, the Madonna child, or the mother child, the Mason, right, and Mary Jesus. You feel what I'm saying? Notice the child in this image is not a baby, but a small, fully developed man. While Protestant Catholics call Protestants deny the worship of this pig, indeed they are indeed contradict that denial in actions, as they openly do just that on Christmas and Easter. In this image we see left the idol Ishtar, Tammuz renamed Mary and Jesus. The idol of Madonna/child renamed Jesus/Mary. And a painting of Jesus/Mary, all the exact same Babylonian deities. We need to begin admitting the obvious truth. These idols were not renamed because the pagans now believe in Yeshua the Messiah. No, Tammuz and Ishtar/Semiramis simply had their names changed in the false religion of Christianity, which is a carbon copy of the mystery religion of Babylon. Right? Because we know that they were dispersed and their languages was changed, but their customs was the same. We now call halos were nothing more than the images of the sun, clearly demonstrating who these paintings were representing. Not Yeshua or Yahushua, salvation, but Tammuz. Not Miriam, but Ishtar/Semiramis. Okay, they still trying to, The real truth behind the cross of Jesus and the halos around Jesus and Mary is simple. Jesus is Tammuz and Mary is Ishtar. They were renamed the latest versions of the Babylonian Madonna and child, probably when they had a newer incarnation of these wicked demonic spirits to implement as the new face of the pagan trinity. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, so this is clearly depicted below at the bottom right. Images as we see the images of the sun god behind them, the X of Tammuz, the cross of the equinox from the zodiac written on the sun over Jesus, and the crown on the queen of heaven and Tammuz in the upper right images of Jesus/Mary. There still remained idols in the Vatican of Tammuz, the great hunter, like his father Nimrod. To this day, their Christianity's real Messiah they renamed Jesus, and Jesus is Eosus, IHS, which means Hail Zeus, or son of Zeus. The picture below is Tammuz, the great hunter, idol in the Vatican. We still pass on the images of Tammuz, son of Semiramis today as Cupid, son of Venus, still depicted as the mighty hunter, complete with the bow and arrow. Now we know Venus, right, is also considered to be the bright and morning star, and we know what also was associated with that. Okay, so you can check that out, you know what I'm saying? Very interesting stuff here. We still hunt Ishtar eggs in honor of Tammuz, the great hunter, on Ishtar Day, and we eat ham in his honor. Oh my God. We just call it by its English name, Easter, but every ritual remains the same as in ancient Babylon. No longer do we keep Passover and eat lamb as commanded by the Messiah, strengthened by the law of Huah, as he kept Passover on the 14th of Abib, eve of Passover, just before he gave his body as Passover lamb. So, they don't even know where to distinguish the hijack. They know the hijack is in there, but they still kind of holding on to the foundation because, like I said, they don't know where really to distinguish. No, we now keep Ishtar and eat ham, right? The most abominable beast in the Torah. The fact Jesus of the Christian church is in reality the Babylonian Tammuz, reincarnated Nimrod, son of Baal, to this day denied by Christianity, as have been given over by Hawa to believe a lie, right? To believe a lie. Okay, they have literally fallen for Nimrod, Ramesses, Tammuz, Horus, Isis, all that under the name has become, oh, Isis, Horus, right? Seb or HRL. They all finna get to it. The monogram for Jesus, Horus, Krishna, all the names for Tammuz. Jesus, Horus, Krishna evolved into Jesus H. Christ in English, but in Latin it remains IHS. In the middle of the soul Invictus, the same invincible sun worship from Nimrod to Constantine. Sun gods, Isis, Horus, and Seb. Crazy, ain't it? The symbol of the sun with the pagan Babylonian trinity of Isis, Horus, and Seb, IHS, with elevated cross of Tammuz is the very monogram of Jesus H. Christ and carried around by the high priest of Baal, right? The same priest that administering the, you know what I'm saying, the dumb diverses, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that to set up the rule of Baal after the god Baal has infiltrated the indigenous priests and have put themselves in their spirituality. Now the high priest of Baal can send out the decree to set up the kingdom. Today, with the cross of Tammuz blazed on the top, blazoned on the top, whatever, blazoned on the top, right? 40 days of weeping for Tammuz, Lent and Ash Wednesday. All right, so y'all, man, y'all catch that drop, summer origins of Easter, right? You see all that, the cross, right, which is the T for Tammuz. You know what I'm saying? All this is Babylonian paganism. Okay, so also I want to come right here, man, because this is another part. This is chapter 5, Christmas, the rebirth of the sun, right? The birthday of Nimrod and Tammuz and the rebirth of the sun, Christmas. But I know a lot of our people know a lot of this stuff, but this puts a lot, you know, just to put a lot of stuff in perspective. So the origin of the Xmas tree or the X or the cross or the symbol of Tammuz is actually the Tammuz Nimrod tree. Now we know that the cedar trees were big in Samaria, right? Because this was one of the earlier things. They were coming from the garden of God and stuff like that. And you know, they was in the land where cedar trees was around. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the Messiah or the truth found in the Bible. The X tree was a central figure in the Babylonian religion with the snake wrapped around the tree trunk. Check that out. I just wanted to read that for y'all. And where we have the garland, right? Now, of course, we don't use snakes around our tree. We have garland. But let us not be so naive to think Hawa approves of such ignorance and worship founded in Babylonian paganism. It began with a snake and a tree. Bam! So, remember the serpent on the tree in the garden? I mean, what's the difference? You know what I'm saying? Now they say, you know what I'm saying? Check this out. Christmas trees are really Asherah poles, right? Oh, I'm not even going to do it. Or sacred trees for honoring Baal. And the ornaments represented Nimrod's testicles. Oh, my God. Garland represented the serpent, Satan. Yeah, man. So, Semiramis, his mother, his wife, then decided to memorize his penis by erecting a giant image of Nimrod's penis, which today is called the obelisk. I had to read that because we know that the city of Heliopolis is known for its obelisk. You see what I'm saying? So the cult of the sun god Baal, Peor, and Hathor, Ishtar, Ashtaroth, whatever you want to call her, is a global concept of pagans. You feel what I'm saying? So, man, I just want to, man, y'all catch this drop, right? The Christmas tree is also a symbol of Satan in the Garden of Eden. The garland was wrapped around the tree of knowledge of good and evil, like a snake wrapped around the tree with the ornaments, balls representing the fruit. With the ornament balls representing the fruit. So when you taking of that fruit, what are you really doing? Psst. Okay, so when we come over here, we look at Amun, right? Which, you know, Amun Ra redirects here. So it's a, Amun, right, was a major Egyptian deity, okay? After the rebellion of Thebes against the Hyksos, the rulers of Amos, Amun acquired national importance, right? Expressed in his infusion with the sun god Ra as Amun Ra, right? Amun Re. Now we understand, right, the usurpation of this satanic god has now have the world sending their prayers to him when they finish him, right? Amen. You know what I'm saying? But that's a part of the usurpation of Satan, right? So so what I want to do is okay, with the other gods manifested of him with Osiris, Amun-Ra, the most rightly respected Egyptian god. As the chief deity of the Egyptian empire, Amun-Ra also came to be worshipped outside of Egypt. See what I'm saying? According to the testimony of ancient Greek historiographers in Libya and Nubia, as Zeus Ammon, he came to be identified with Zeus in Greek. So I want to catch this right here for you. You know what I'm saying? And you see, you know, the bull, the calf, that comes with the sun god worship, right? You know what I'm saying? Then look at this right here, right? You know what I'm saying? Man got his penis all erect, because what I told you in one of my videos, Ra is the life force. So they use the female body part, the womb, to arouse the life force Ra. That's a sexual religious act. So that's why I say, when these people going into this Ra worship, understand what can come with it. Very licentious and sexual acts. And then when another nation like Moab come and do what they did in Shittim and send their daughters, right, to be naked in front of the camps of the children of Israel, so they can, you know what I'm saying, have sexual intercourses and mix their seed and do all kind of licentious stuff with the children of Israel. Understand how that can be very detrimental for the nation, for the tribe. You feel what I'm saying? But just to show you real quick. Okay, so now the brother Lex Will had did a video a while ago. He was talking about Black Kemet, or Egypt being the Kemet of Moab, right? And so now what's crazy is that the god of Moab in the Bible is called Chemosh, right? And he was showing how there's the Mochika have a reptilian god that they was like worshiping or something, and it was called Mosh. You see what I'm saying? And he was just showing certain correlation to, you know, the black Moabite presence in Egypt, right? And why I told my brother Shamik, I say, man, you know what I'm saying, the brothers over there, they worshiping the wrong black people, or they following the wrong black people, excuse me, and they don't quite know it yet. But with this licentious cult that comes with Baal Peor, you know, it's very sexual. It was dealing with, you know, eating ass, you know, fellatio, oral sex, anal sex, all different type of acts in which you commune and stimulate that life force Ra. That was a part of this, you know what I'm saying, this particular cult. Now, when you understand this Mochica culture, right, that is present, flourished in northern Peru and you know what I'm saying, and like, you know, that part of South America. Like I say, the brother was showing how they was dealing with a religion involving a god named Mosh. I don't know if I can show it here, but if you catch the brother's video, you will see it. But what I wanted to show is the particular art of this tribe, right? Especially when we're looking at you know what I'm saying, all this type of stuff like this, and we know that there's a lot of sexual stuff going on, you know what I'm saying. Look at the Mochica art. Look at that. That's Baal Peor worship right there. That's an idol. That's an idol built to the god Baal Peor, because it has what? Baal Peor means Lord of the opening. The opening is the womb, the vagina, the matrix, the Milky Way galaxy. You feel what I'm saying? So right here they commune with the god. Look at this right here. Straight sex. Look. Bam, bam. They getting it in. Look. Sucking dick. Look at it. Look at it. You feel what I'm saying? Now this is present in America, so you cannot sit up here and tell me, boy, this biblical stuff, you know what I'm saying, ain't happened over here. I mean, look at these are real statues they found that these people were building. If this ain't Baal Peor worship, I don't know what is. Because these people are idolizing and making idols of the sexual, you know what I'm saying, licentious things that they was doing. You feel what I'm saying? Look, they making statues of straight rod. You know, I don't want to look at that shit. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to show that in accordance with this, you know, this study we over here doing. But hold on. Okay, when you scroll down to the Greece tab, right? Cause remember we talking about Zeus Ammon right now. Amun, worshipped by the Greeks as Ammon, right? Had a temple and a statue, right? The gift of Pindar at the in the at Sparta, in which inhabitants of Passianus says consulted the oracle of Ammon in Libya from the earlier times more than the other Greeks. Okay, such was its reputation among the classical Greeks that Alexander the Great journeyed after the battle of Issus and during the occupation of Egypt, where he was declared the son of Ammon by the oracle. Okay, Alexander thereafter considered himself divine. Okay, even during this occupation, Ammon identified by these Greeks as a form of Zeus. Okay, so in the Greeks, Ammon, such as ammonia, ammonite, the Romans called the ammonium chloride. They collected from the deposits near the temple of Jupiter Ammon in ancient Libya. Wow, salt of Ammon. That's crazy. Let me see, ammonia as well as in okay, you see, and ammonites, extinct shelled cephalopods, bear spiral shells resembling a ram's and ammon's horns. The region of hippocampus in the brain are called the cornu ammonis, literally Ammon's horns. Wow. During the horned appearance of the dark and light bands of cellular layers. In Paradise Lost, I find that crazy. Milton identifies Ammon with the biblical Ham, Cham, Bam, and states that the Gentiles called him Libyan Jehovah, or the Libyan Jehovah, right? So Zeus Ammon, Roman copy of the Greek original, you know what I'm saying, from the late 15th century, features of the supreme god Zeus with features of the Egyptian god Amun-Ra, right? So you see him, man, you see right here, they say that he identified Ammon with the biblical children of Ham, Cham, and we see that Ham and Cham gets confederate to Ham is the one who establishes this pagan rulership on the earth, because he's the one who steals the garments, right? And begins to go, his children begin to act wickedly with him, right? And we see that the children of Ham are confederate with Nimrod to build the Tower of Babel, right? The satanic temple. So I just wanted to show all this, right? Because dealing with this sun god, you know what I'm saying? Like we was reading, what was it at? Right here. There still remains idol of in the Vatican of Tammuz, the Great Hunter, to this day, that Christianity's real Messiah. They renamed Jesus Isus, IHS, which means Hail Zeus, or Son of Zeus. This picture below of Tammuz, the Great Hunter, idol in the Vatican. So Hail Zeus, Son of Zeus, right? Isus, Jesus is Jesus, which is Son of Zeus, which is shoot, it might be Alexander the Great, you know what I'm saying? But it's the son of Amun, right? It's Amun, Zeus Amun, which is Ammon, which is the sun god. So you know, I wanted to come over here and leave you guys with a Bible verse, you know what I'm saying, from Matthew chapter 24. I'm gonna read verse 23, right? It says, but if thine eye be evil, actually no, I'm gonna go to verse 22, because this is talking about that third eye. For those of you who think there's no esoteric knowledge in the Bible, it says, the light of the body is in the eye. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Right? Now it's crazy that he's saying this before he say this. But just understand that concept right there. He said, but if thine eye be evil, then the whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in the dark, let me read that again. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? So Pete, what's going on here? Boy, because he giving you some drop. You know what I'm saying? With the righteous light, right? The awakening and the opening of the third eye. But check this out. If thine eye be evil, then the whole body is full of darkness. So we know that Satan, right, he does what? He has this all-seeing eye of wickedness. So if thine eye be evil, the whole body shall be full of darkness. Right? No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and Mammon or Ammon. Alright, so I just wanted to show that, man. You cannot serve God, Hawa, the creator, and Satan at the same time. Now, a lot of people translate this word right here to be riches, but I feel like it's more so talking about Ammon, but there is no difference. It's all the satanic, materialistic, mundane, you know what I'm saying, usurpation of what God has going on. So I just wanted to drop this video on you, man. I know it's long, it's probably jam-packed, but hey, man, you know, we need to get this information out there, man, so our people can understand the Bible is real. It is ecclesiastical history that establishes nations and is telling us who is what and what is what. You feel what I'm saying? And it shows us how the same people, these same mother sons who did not receive the divine covenant from the father, from their biological father, right, that was passed through the seed, as well as the creator, right, the heavenly father, they did not receive this covenant from him. So instead they received it from the son God, right, who looked upon their mother, right, and then impregnated her and had himself come through her seed. You feel what I'm saying? To establish his wicked pagan society on earth. So understand, we got to leave all that right there alone and come back into the bond of the creator, the balance, the understanding the ways of nature, the ways of life. You feel what I'm saying? So, man, I just want to help y'all understand that and get that out there. So understand that if we are in the time of wickedness, we can see that when in the previous wickedness, what our people was doing, they doing the same thing now, and we don't even need to do that. We need to separate and come into a more holier, holistic, balanced way of life. And I love y'all, fam. Just want to leave y'all with that. Shalom. Stay blessed. Until next time.